what time it is.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
And here we go.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
You ready, Chris Brockman?
Let's do it.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
It's that time of the year.
Today's guests, ESPN NFL Draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr., Fox NFL insider Jay Glazer, plus from AMC's Friday Night with the Morgans, actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
All right. Are we now going to start counting TJ's one punt?
Yeah, man, he missed it. You make it yesterday, though,
He did.
right?
He did. He's won for his last two. Hey, look.
Oh, Tuesdays are 2 for 3?
By the way, I went 1 for 2 on the
In the promo?
on the promo that we posted over the weekend.
Yeah, I got a bunch of tweets about how many takes that was.
It was 2 takes, a nasty power lip to start us on the first one. But hey,
Is that a Def Leppard album?
nasty power lip. I like it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show, live on our YouTube feed, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. For those who are asking, I don't get too deep into the legal aspect of things. I've been told up, down, left, and right. We are on Sirius XM channel 211, Dan Patrick Radio, starting tomorrow. This is what I have been told.
Okay, all right.
I would love for that to be happening right now. But we're here on our YouTube feed, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We're going to be on NBCSN or do you have the my rehearsing this thing, Mike Del Tufo? Do you have
NBC.
SN? That's going to be at 1 Eastern time, 2 hours. Mel Kiper, Jay Glazer, Jeffrey Dean Morgan of ESPN, Fox Sports, and Walking Dead on AMC, respectively. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Is he like the coolest dude ever?
We were just talking about that this morning, TJ and myself. Last time he was here, leather jacket.
He's always got the leather jacket.
Badass boots.
Right.
Outside on the phone, ripping
Grizzled,
heaters.
grizzled,
just,
grizzled.
Amazing, 5 o'clock shadow that,
Started at noon?
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Dude is so cool.
He has a full-on beard. I don't think he's got the guy who's got the 5 o'clock shadow at noon is Adam Schefter.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Adam will shave, and then an hour later, he's got at 10 in the morning, he's got the 5 o'clock shadow.
You can tell when he's doing the nighttime Sports Center hits that he just forgot to shave.
Hey, man,
And it's
I came on the air yesterday. I didn't even put any, anti-shine on, and I need the anti-shine.
Sam.
This just in.
Yeah.
Hey, happy stepping in you-know-what day.
Also known as
Tom Brady draft day.
Bill Belichick's birthday.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
Stepping in you-know-what. Yes, of course.
Come on.
Of course.
You know how I feel about Tom Brady.
Well,
199th overall. I don't think anybody. Should we call Mooch and wish him happy Giovanni Carmazzi Day?
Oh.
Is that the wrong? Is this? Well, that probably didn't happen because, right? Because Giovanni,
that would
it was
be amazing.
Or was
All right,
yesterday?
hold on.
Is yesterday?
I think yesterday was Carmazzi Day because he was a second rounder.
No, he's a third rounder. Where Mooch would just pick up the phone.
Check that.
Should we just call Steve
Yes.
up, wish him a happy Giovanni
Absolutely.
Carmazzi Day?
Let's do it right now. You want me to call him?
Call him.
All right.
Well, call him and get him on the air.
No, we're gonna do it. I'm just gonna get the number.
Just give him the number. We'll do this on the air.
So
We'll hose him.
Carmazzi, third round pick, 65th overall.
So then today wouldn't be that day, right? Because it was rounds 1 through 3 on one day, and then rounds 4 through 7
back
on
in the
another.
day, it was just 2 days.
It's 2 days,
right?
man. I remember the first
There you
time
go.
Steve Bornstein, my executive of choice. He's got Mooch's address. Let's do this. Why not?
You want me to call him
Bruce
right
Feldman's going to join. Yeah, call him right
Yeah,
up.
just call him right
straight
now.
up.
Just call him right
Don't
now.
put it on the air so people will hear the beeps.
What?
The beeps.
Tom Brady actually tweeted out a picture of the 6, or Instagram storied this morning, the 6 drafted in front of him.
You want the ring, Rich?
Sure.
Can you name the Brady 6?
Well, that's Steve.
See if he picks up.
Please answer.
See if he picks up.
This is great.
If he picks up, I'm going to laugh.
But it's
There we go.
It's a
Nope. Mooch, you there?
Yeah.
It's Rich Eisen. We're on the air live. I'm doing this to you, Steve. We're on the air live right now. You got a second?
Yeah. Yeah, well, too bad you're not FaceTiming me because I have my little clip-on tie on because I'm getting ready to take Total Access.
Okay, cool.
I got the Mooch Cam roaring.
Oh,
and
this is great.
Okay.
I saw you yesterday, Steve.
Well, we noticed today, and I love you, Steve, and I know you can handle this sort of stuff that we're calling you live on our YouTube stream.
I mean, Mooch, brace yourself, buddy.
We noticed it was the 20th anniversary of Tom Brady being drafted today, and we wanted to wish you a happy Giovanni Carmazzi Day, Steve.
I hate your guts.
Fantastic.
By that you mean you love me, right, Steve? By that you mean you love me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Mooch, not my idea. I'm sorry.
You think I'd be still coaching the 49ers if Tom and I were joined at the hip?
Oh, man. Could you imagine? But I saw clips of like Bill Walsh was saying he was the guy. I mean, you guys had consensus in the room, right?
Do I have to go over this whole thing again with you for the 35th time, Rich Eisen? You don't remember. You should just play the tape we did on the Rich Eisen show, one of the Super Bowls. So remember I talked about. God, I hate you. Remember I talked about.
Mooch is so rattled right now.
Yeah, well,
I am so rattled because I'm supposed to be talking about the Buffalo Bills coming up for Total Access, and now you got me just sidetracked here.
Sorry.
So
we'll let you go in a second.
So we wanted to find another Steve Young. That puts the quarterbacks in an athletic category, Rich. You would not have been in that category, all right? We needed somebody to run faster and jump higher and leap tall buildings with a single bound. And so we put Tom in a drop back category, and we had other people in a athletic category, kind of like teams do now, with the Jalen Hurts and those kind of guys that are athletes. You can do a lot more than just the Jacob Eason guy. Drop back, okay? Tom was in the drop back. We didn't want to drop back. We looked for Gio Carmazzi. Gio Carmazzi, not only was he Italian, but he was the point guard on the basketball team. He was a Rhodes Scholar.
Okay.
And not roadkill. He was a Rhodes Scholar, all right?
Well, I mean, Michigan's the Harvard of the Midwest, Steve, or the Harvard's the Michigan of the East. So, Tom probably could keep up with that,
Yeah, yeah, whatever. But, he still is in that other category that we are not considering. So that's it. That's it. I'm not going to explain this anymore until you call me on the 30th anniversary of the Tom Brady draft day.
And Carmazzi became a goat farmer, right? Isn't that what he came when Tom's winning championships?
You know what? That was mentioned on the thing, but I'm not sure if that was embellished a little bit. I have no idea. He might have had a pet goat. I don't know. I had a quarterback, David Barr at Cal, who had a pig at home. It was a pet pig. I mean, guys have pets.
I can't believe we did this to Mooch.
Hey, did you watch Tiger King?
Yeah, of course, Steve. Yes.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Get this. Travis Jervey, our running back at Green Bay Packers.
Yes.
He had a pet lion in his garage.
What?
So Mike Holmgren found out and it got so big you got to feed it through the door really quick. And so Mike Holmgren found out about it, and he said, Jervey, either the cat goes or you go. Yeah, I start laughing when I watch Joe Exotic, and I'm thinking of Travis Jervey with a lion in his garage in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Tell me it was discovered the week you played Detroit. Tell me that happened. That would have been fantastic. Not the only Lions involved in the NFC North or Central.
Yeah, unless it was a Panther, or I don't know. I never went over there. Jervey never invited me over there. All right. He was from the Citadel.
All right, Steve.
Remember Shannon Faulkner, the girl?
Yeah, of course.
Am I rambling? I got to get back to work.
Some of
us are working for a living right now.
We rattled your cage, man. We rattled your cage. You take care of yourself.
Yeah,
I love you, Mooch.
Mooch, we love you, buddy.
Happy Gio Carmazzi Day, Steve.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Yep. I mean,
Yeah, we did that.
we did. Yeah.
Oh man,
That was great. What a great start to the show.
That was.
I honestly had no plan to do that at all.
We should call Mooch. Yes, we should.
Yes, we should.
It's fantastic. Poor Mooch. You guys do to Mooch what you do to me, because we're very similar. Like
Excuse me.
By the way,
excuse me.
Really,
excuse
Mike?
me.
You do.
First of all, that's true. Secondly, do you know what they do to me?
Oh no,
Well,
no.
Rich
They get you
gets
just as bad. Yeah,
endlessly
you do.
tormented.
You do.
Okay.
They deserve everything back. We deserve everything back.
I think I'm cool as a cucumber, okay? Even though I just stumbled on the word cucumber. I think that. But sometimes things happen on a set, and things get me upset, and I try to maintain cool. We're all one family. Whenever, like, Irv goes off, we'll have fun about it when everybody's cooled down. You know, it's never too soon on NFL game day morning. But you know that commercial, the Snickers commercial, that you're not yourself? So whenever I had an issue and I was beginning to maybe point it out strenuously in my New York way, Mooch busts out a Snickers on the set. And he'll just place it in front of me as I'm dealing with the situation, and the rest of the guys will just laugh. Anytime I try something physically on the set. Who enjoys that more?
Kurt Warner.
That's true. More than Mooch.
Mooch
Let me
does
check
love-
a text on Mooch.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Happy Giovanni Carmazzi days. The other Brady.
So the Brady six, is Chad Pennington, Giovanni Carmazzi, Spurgeon Wynn, Chris Redmond, Mark Bolger. Is that six?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Carmazzi, Bulger,
Bulger.
Spurgeon Wynn,
I
ladies
mean,
and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Great
Chris
name.
Redmond, Chad Pennington, and
Here's another one in there.
Tom Brady.
It's
Just
unbelievable.
Pennington.
199.
Chad Pennington, by the way.
Chad Pennington was a good
He's
quarterback.
a good quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Out of Marshall, he was Randy Moss's quarterback in college, correct?
correct.
And
You guys thought you had it, Rich.
T. Martin.
T. Martin.
Yeah, T. Martin.
Don, is he currently the USC OC, T. Martin? Or he was? Okay. Not anymore. Graham Harrell is now, right?
I mean, the greatest quarterback was a 199th pick. That's insane.
Nah, nobody knew that.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You would never
going-
guess that.
So T. Martin's with Tennessee now.
T. Martin's back at Tennessee.
Okay,
yeah.
That's
Right.
insane.
So T. Martin, one of those six, Brady six. Dude,
T. Martin was coming off a national
I
championship.
know. And Chad Pennington had a very nice career
In the
with the
NFL.
Jets in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken,
He's the last quarterback to win a AFC East.
not named Tom Brady.
Yeah,
That was the year that Matt Castle won 11 games and it wasn't good enough to make the playoffs.
correct. Because of a weird tiebreaker.
So Pennington then went to the Dolphins and had and Pennington, I mean, I think the zenith of the Pennington era with the Jets was blowing out the Colts and Peyton Manning in a playoff game in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
Home.
Blew them out for Herm Edwards. Blew them out, and that was the pinnacle. So, you know, there's that. Pennington was, I think, the quarterback the day that Tom Brady trotted on the field for the first time
41-0 in
New England.
2003.
Blew him out.
Yeah.
Blew him way out. But the Jets still, I mean, when it all comes down to it, chose Pennington over Brady and chose Ken O'Brien over Dan Marino.
The Dan Marino one, I think, is a little less forgiving than Tom Brady. Like,
I agree, because, I mean,
everyone knew Dan Marino was going to be a great player.
who knew Tom Brady would become Tom Brady?
Bill Belichick.
I don't even know if he'd. I
mean, they passed on him 5
joking.
times.
I know, I'm joking.
So everybody passed on him. But one thing's for sure, you knew Giovanni Carmazzi wasn't as good as Tom Brady. I mean, you could. Oh, I mean, seriously.
Yes, that was shocking.
They just told Giovanni Carmazzi from the great football hotbed of what school? I don't even remember. Wasn't Hofstra, was it? It was Hofstra.
Yes.
When I hear
Where
that
Wayne
name,
Krebet came from.
I expect to hear him
the football hotbed, Long Island's own Hofstra University.
across from the Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, yeah, that's where the Jets used to have their training camp. And their facility.
Right there.
They also drafted Tim Rattay that draft, according to Don Bowie,
Tim Rattay.
Our man at the controls.
I hear that name, I'm thinking he's performing at Lincoln Center.
Tim Rattay was 7th-round pick.
Tim Rattay. And I'll tell you what, well, they had a backup just in case Gio wasn't. You just heard Mooch basically say Bill Walsh, and everybody thought he was more of a system fit because he needed to move around, and Tom's is not a guy.
And he was the point guard on the basketball team. And Tom Brady, that's a fair evaluation, not the most mobile quarterback of all time.
And our phone call hosing, Steve Mariucci, is brought to you by our friends at Geico. Do you rent or own your home? You sure do. Guess what? It can be hard work, and you know these days they're hard times. So if what you need is making things easier, you can bundle policies with Geico, and Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. And it's a good thing, too, because we all know we've got so much to do around the house these days. Go to geico.com, get a quote, see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. We're going to get Bruce Feldman on the horn from The Athletic, and he's going to call us.
Got it.
And so he's we added him late, Don. I'm sorry. So Bruce Feldman's going to be joining us, and just talk a little bit of draft with Bruce. And Mel Kiper, Jay Glazer, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Jay Glazer, Mel Kiper, Bruce Feldman, and your phone calls at 844-204-RICH.
I will say, in Mooch's defense, the 2000 draft was pretty slim pickings. Pro Bowl players drafted after Giovanni Carmazzi. After.
Oh,
Not many. Lavernius Coles.
Dude, you could look at any draft and players drafted for rounds 4 through 7 who are wind up being Pro Bowlers. They're probably slimmer pickings than normal.
Shane Leckler.
Lavernius Coles, at least the Jets hit on him.
Yep, he was really good for a while.
Lavernius Coles and Chad Pennington were a hell of a hookup for a while.
Dante Hall, Adalis Thomas. Remember him? He was a 6th-round pick also.
Yep.
Not many. Handful. So,
what do you got a poll question over there?
Okay, so it is Bill Belichick's birthday. I was going to go with birthday performances, but, some of them were. It was kind of a stretch to find 4 good ones. Bill, of course, drafting Tom on his birthday. Going to go head coach you'd most want your son coached by. Head coach you'd most want your son to play for, coached by.
Okay.
Belichick, Nick Saban, Coach K, Greg Popovich.
So these are all active coaches. Coach K,
Bill
Belichick, Nick Saban, Greg Popovich.
Grizzly hard guys.
So Mike Gundy didn't make the cut, huh? TJ liked that one. Mike Gundy didn't make the cut.
Did not make the cut. Mike Gundy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Rick Pitino didn't make the cut either. You have to be human to be on this list.
Well, oh my gosh. Look at you. You always say
he's a vampire. I mean, come on.
It's unbelievable. Rick, you just love
I also
slagging on
hate
Rick
Pitino, by the way.
Well, because Larry Bird's not walking
ruining
through
the
that door.
Celtics in 1997.
Actually, you keep saying Larry Bird's not walking through that door. He did on NBA TV during this broadcast yesterday when the Knicks and the Celtics in a 1985 Christmas Day
was
game
on NBA TV. Oh man, how did
Hubie Brown drawing up a play and
oh wow, that's awesome.
That was it, man. That's when we thought, okay, Bernard King's going to come back from that injury and team out with Patrick Ewing, whose drafting was feasible because Bernard blew his knee out the year before, and here we go. The Bernie show with Bernie and Ernie was with Ernie Grunfeld. Now Patrick Ewing, we thought it was. I think Bernard King and Patrick Ewing played a grand total of like 10 games together.
Well, that's a big.
I know.
That
was the idea. I know that's the what if.
And Sonny Werblin owned the Garden still, I think.
Oh, my word.
Sonny Werblin.
And I'm excited to have Mel Kiper on. I don't think we've ever had Mel on, right?
Is that true?
I don't think so.
Let me double check that.
I don't believe Mel Kiper's ever been on the Rich Eisen show. Jay Glazer, however, has been a regular for quite some time, and Jay's coming on to talk about.
I think you're right. We've had Todd McShay on a lot.
He's talking about merging vets and players, and the story that he was teasing, a big story. Brian Allen, the center of the Los Angeles Rams is the first active NFL player to test positive for COVID-19. Apparently, he's okay. He's doing better.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Jay will be joining us to talk about that draft, and merging vets and players is his baby organization. It's his baby. You're wearing your shirt. Good for you, man.
I'm wearing my MVP shirt today.
Good. We always have it displayed proudly on our couch whenever when we have guests again in studio. You'll see it all the time. There you go. Well done. Yeah. Where there's a warrior, there's a way. And what Glaze and Nate Boyer, longtime veteran of our armed forces, noticed is that veterans coming back from theaters of war or tours of duty were having issues trying to find their way in society and fit back in. And NFL players who retire from the NFL wondering what's next. They had similar struggles. So Glaze, along with the help of Strahan and many others, decided, hey, let's open up spots across the United States where veterans can come and where former athletes can come and get together, work out, get better physically, and then mentally through the workouts, sit around and have conversations, roundtable conversations about what's going on between their temples. I've attended a couple of them. Susie's come to a couple too. They're remarkable conversations. Ryan Leaf is part of it. It's very moving, and obviously with COVID-19, it just adds the stress level even further for a lot of the people who need the workouts and need the conversations. And I believe tonight Glaze is going to have a special Zoom where people will be working out through Zoom and then talking. And we want to bring more of a spotlight to that, as always. And as you can see right there, at 7 Eastern Time, first responders special nationwide session involving police, fire department, and emergency medical services. Glaze is a special guy, man. Vetsandplayers.org is how you can all get involved in that. So that's tonight at 7 Eastern Time. And Glaze will be on to talk about that, top of our second and final hour on NBC. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan from The Walking Dead on AMC is a diehard Seattle Seahawks fan. We've got a few of those, don't we? We had Joel McHale on Tuesday. We sure do. One. Rayan Wilson is another. Jeff Schaefer of Curb Your Enthusiasm and Dave Lil Dicky fame. Those are just four of them.
Big Seahawks contingent.
There's a lot of 12s that we've had on the show, the celebrity element. Joining us now from The Athletic, also does a lot of sideline work for Fox Sports College Football, is our friend here on the week before the draft and the day after. Many of the Big Five, Power Five conference commissioners chatted with the Vice President of the United States about potentially having a season or not. Bruce Feldman back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Bruce?
I am doing well, Rich. It's been interesting times, obviously, for all of us.
No doubt. And I trust, I know we were discussing off air, but I definitely want to bring it on air. Everybody fine in your family, correct?
Yes, thankfully, yes.
Good. Knocking on wood right there. So what can you tell us about what the college Big Power Five commissioners think about the season right now? It seems to be pretty dire at the moment, Bruce.
Yeah, so there was a call yesterday with Vice President Mike Pence and really all the conference commissioners, not just the Power Five, but everybody in FBS football. And I think one of the things that they wanted to make clear, because look, if you don't, work in the space of college sports, you don't probably realize, even if you don't, college football is different from college basketball. The NCAA runs the college basketball tournament. The NCAA does not run the college football playoff. And so one of the things that, they had pointed out, just to be clear, is that until the universities feel like it's safe for their students to come back on campus and participate in activities, they can't have games. And that's just a reality that several of the conference commissioners have, pointed out. Just to be clear on that front. Now, who knows how things are going to be different, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. But keep in mind that it's going to take, 6 to 8 weeks maybe for teams, if they get an all clear, to get ready actual games for their own safety reasons beyond the COVID issue of just health and conditioning. But also you got to remember we're talking about 100-man rosters, another 50 people in support staffs. It's like, what is the testing going to be like? What is some of the other challenges that are going to go into this? So who knows if a season's going to be able to start on time. I know I've talked to some people who are inside college sports who have, considered the prospects of the season being delayed, possibly even till 2021, the start of the 2021 calendar. But at least it would get the college football season, if it had to come to that, to take place within the academic calendar. And what that really means is college football drives the boat financially for college athletics. I mean, if they don't have it, the money that comes from it, it'd be devastating towards universities and not just their athletic programs, but a lot of other things that college football helps fund.
Yeah, we had your colleague at Stadium, Brett McMurphy, on a couple weeks ago when he was reporting about a poll that he conducted with a lot of athletic directors across the country, and how many of them thought that there was going to be no season. And he mentioned the same thing you just did, and let's just play that out. Why would anybody like Trevor Lawrence or anybody that would be atop an NFL draft go ahead and play a college season that is out of season in a way, and would not be would be going on? I'd imagine when the NFL would be having a combine. If everybody's back well enough to play football, then the NFL would be conducting its off season, if you will, unless the NFL season gets pushed too. It just strikes me that would not be workable, just to have college football. I mean, obviously you can play it, but maybe the stars of the game would be sitting that one out, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, the example you used is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was a unique case in that regard. Now, I'm not saying what he would decide to do if his team is playing. Would he sit out and say, all right, I got to get ready for the combine, or I can't risk injuries, or who knows? I think we're in such uncharted waters here. The idea of people saying, wait a minute, I mean, look, where you went to college, it's a really cold place. It's a really cold place in lots of parts of the Big Ten country. It's much colder in February than it is in November. But you know what? If I think it came to that, people would have to try to find a way to make it work. And I think, getting back to the Trevor Lawrence part, I don't think there's that many football players. Remember, if they don't have this season, I don't know how many guys you're working off of where you're basically going off their 2019 film and then a lot of guesswork. I mean, there's already so much guesswork in the process anyway.
Right.
I think that would put the NFL, just from that standpoint, I think that would put the NFL in a really challenging position to try to evaluate people. So I'd be curious what happens where you'd have, like, this sets up some interesting scenarios, because then all of a sudden you're talking about having a season that, let's say hypothetically, the season didn't start till late January. The season's probably not ending till May then. So you're going to have a season end. If it was that, we'd have a season end in May. And then what does that mean for a 2021 season? Is it piggybacking off that? So I don't think anybody knows. I really don't. I mean, because there's nothing. We just don't know enough about what's going on. But there are a lot of people who work in college athletics who are kicking the tires on what-if scenarios now, because right now I think there is so much up in the air, and they know, again, the money is so monumental for them. I've talked to athletic directors at the biggest schools who talk about the money involved, and it's a cold, hard reality of this. So I don't know what they would do. I mean, would there be some kids who'd say, you know what, I can't play if we're going to play starting in the winter of this year, and it's going to drag into the spring because I'm looking at my NFL future and what that could mean?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Bruce. I mean, like, for sure. Just take a look again, and then obviously I know a lot of players might feel pressure in that regard. And again, I preface this by saying this is all we're speculating, and there are far more important things going on in the world to understand. But while we're just, in this arena, just to play it all out, absolutely. I mean, players need to start thinking about all that. And as much as they'd like to play one last time with their teammates, however they want, playing from September to December or January one year and then going into the NFL is one thing. You're going to start seeing the entire season being placed aside by prospects in the same way that Christian McCaffrey placed aside the Sun Bowl back in the day, and now he just hit it. He's the best paid running back ever. So check that box that he made the right decision back in that day, as opposed to potentially taking the Jalen Smith or, just name anybody else taking that route. I think you're definitely going to have that conversation.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, I don't think that's unrealistic. I just don't know how many players fit into that category. I don't think it's going to be widespread where you'd have every player. I could be totally wrong on this. I mean, but I don't think you'd have every guy who's a potential combine invite, which potential is a lot more than the ones that end up in Indy, certainly, who would say, you know what, I can't do this, because I just think that, it would – I don't know. I just don't think that many would go. It's one thing to sit out a game. It's another thing to sit out a season.
Right. Bruce Feldman of The Athletic, Fox Sports here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk here and now. What's going on with Tua? I mean, what are you hearing maybe from your end of things of sending Tua to the next level? What you're hearing about his workouts, what you're hearing about, I mean, Trent Dilfer says that he and Ken Whisenhunt have remade his base. Nick Saban saying on Details on ESPN Plus that he just tried to do too much. That's how he got hurt. He's not going to be an injury case at the next level. What are you hearing about his stock right now, a week before the draft?
I mean, like you, I've talked to Trent, and I think I've talked to some other people in the NFL, around the NFL, and certainly college people. I don't think that Tua is a brittle guy. I do think that certain guys have some injury quirks where it can happen in the course of it's a very physical game and everything. I don't know how many quarterbacks would have taken the hit he did from Mississippi State and been able to, keep playing through it. I just think that, sometimes it's you spin the wheel and that's what happens. I mean, here's what I would say about Tua. In terms of his arm talent, in terms of his anticipation and how he sees the field, as well as his kind of demeanor and how people respond to him, because I've talked to a lot of people inside the Alabama program over the last few years. I would roll, if your medical people have signed off on him. To me, that's the biggest question. But if they have, I would definitely roll the dice on Tua, because the talent level is so impressive that he has, in terms of his anticipation, how he sees it, how he triggers, and how the ball comes out. I mean, if I was going to be wrong, I would be wrong. I would be wrong on that front. At least you'd be missing on a guy with a very, very high ceiling if somehow the injuries come back to bite him. But I don't think you can look at it if your medical people sign off on him. Then I think that's something that teams have got to decide. Because to me, I would be more comfortable with him than a couple other quarterbacks a little later who are way more inconsistent in what they do on the field. And that would give me a lot more pause than, well, he might get hurt. Well, those guys might get hurt too.
So the pause on someone like Love is the fact that he had a drop-off last year at Utah State. I just did not see any Utah State football. I fully admit that. What happened last year, and what do you think might be playing into that 1 week before we're expecting to hear his name?
Well, Matt Wells was his guy. That was the coach at Utah State who found him here in the San Bernardino area, and nobody else was interested in him. He was a skinny guy who threw it well, and Wells did a great job with him. And then Wells got the Texas Tech job, and that staff left, and the new staff wasn't able to, I don't know, they tried to replicate what they did offensively without maybe knowing the recipe, because they didn't have holdovers from that same group. And I think, and this is stuff I talked to from coaches who were, interviewed him at the Combine. I mean, he is talented, but there is a consistency issue that would give me some pause. He struggled at times, and I think to me, there is that story about like, hey, quarterbacks, it's so critical about what position, what situation they go into. I think Jordan Love is that times 5. I mean, I think he is the one who could be all over the map in terms of if he doesn't go into like the ideal situation. I think it's going to be a big challenge for him. Now, if he does go into a really good situation and they nurture him and they give him time to develop, I think he could be a really, really good starting NFL quarterback. But there's a lot, to me, there's more factors of uncertainty with Jordan Love than there is with any other really talented quarterback in this draft.
Bruce Feldman, the Athletic College Football Insider of Fox Sports, here on the Rich Eisen Show. So in terms of talented guys, who do you think's the most talented kid in this draft? What do you got for me?
You know what? If I'm talking smarts and I'm talking competitiveness,
sure,
as talent, I'm taking Joe Burrow. I was around that LSU team a lot for the last month of the season, and he's as smart as any quarterback has come into the league in a long time from college football. He's athletic enough where he can make some plays, and the presence he has with his team, there's a chip on his shoulder. I have. To me, there's no such thing as a can't-miss guy. I thought that as a quarterback, I thought Andrew Luck was the closest thing I've seen as a college football quarterback coming out. But I think he is the safest pick because of how smart he is, how he sees the field, and also there is a moxie to him. I remember, hearing the staff at LSU talk about when Joe gets ticked off, he's sticking it in people's face. That edge to him, I think, will serve him well when teammates get to know him. I mean, I'll go with the guy who's smart and who's accurate, and he's really accurate, and he has really good feet and presence in the pocket. I mean, the stuff he would do in the red zone, on third downs, on fourth downs, it just was uncanny for a college quarterback. And so to me, he's by far the safest pick of the quarterback.
Yeah, I know, and I do know that we're in the world of nitpicking and finding flags and all that sort of stuff, and I totally believe that Burrow really doesn't have any on that front. I mean, I watched him make every throw, man. If he needed to high point it for his receiver, he would do it. If he needed to lead his receiver, he would do it. If he had to drop it in the bucket, he would do it. If he had to look somebody off, he would do it. The best part about him is that he never, ever gave up on a play to the point where he'd put his own health at risk, and he would be always eyes downfield. It was amazing. I mean, just the remarkable, beyond his years ability that we were seeing was quite something, but it was just 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Like, where the hell did this come from? That's the question with him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they didn't quite have the same system in place or the talent in place at LSU when he transitioned there. I do know this from talking to, there's a project I've been working on this offseason related to LSU, and talking to guys who were his teammates when he first got there. They talked about from the day he got there, him kicking everybody's butt in the conditioning runs in Louisiana, which, by the way, is scorching hot at that time of year. And from that point, how he basically won over a team where he was the guy. It wasn't like he was there during spring football. He came in late. The only other example I can think of a guy who kind of took over a program, late at that stage was Russell Wilson when he left North Carolina State to go to Wisconsin. And I don't think he had the egos and the kind of stuff that Joe Burrow had to navigate through at LSU at that point. So just as a quick aside on it, so I'm at the Combine, and Joe Brady, that was the pass game coordinator who's now obviously the OC with the Panthers. And we were talking about this, and I ran into him, and Ken Dorsey was around. Obviously, he's an NFL coach now also, but he was Miami's quarterback on that great, arguably the best team of all time in college football, the 2001, that Ed Reed team. And they were joking, I was joking with Brady about who's the best team of all time, and he was like wanted to say something to Ken, and I was like, no offense to Ken, but the biggest difference in that team, because I don't think this LSU team quite had the level of talent and stars that Miami team, but what they did have was, as good as Ken Dorsey was, I mean, nobody had a season like Joe Burrow just did. I mean, that was the gap, was between Ken Dorsey, really, really good college quarterback, Joe Burrow, had as great a season as anybody's ever had playing the position in college football.
Before I let you go, Bruce, your current piece in The Athletic, talking about you've been obviously covering it's the athletic part of The Athletic, I guess, the freaky athletes. I give you the floor on this, and who you think is the freakiest athlete available in the draft this year.
Well, the freakiest athlete from that story was Isaac Sopoaga, and it was a crazy story which started out on basically in a bar with a couple of NFL guys, and they started talking about who had the best arm of anybody they'd ever seen, and it was this 330-pound defensive tackle who just, retired, I guess, 7 or 8 years ago. And then the stories of the legend of him being able to throw at 75, 80, 85, almost 100 yards. And then I remember talking, I finally get him on the phone, and he's talking about what he had, that he still trains. And he was like, well, I didn't take lifting seriously until about 2008. I was like, wait a minute, at the combine, you did 42 reps on the bench. And then I was like, if you weren't taking it seriously then, but you were, 4 years later, what did you do? And he said, I asked him what the most he ever did 225 was. Rich, he said he did 74 reps. That is insane. That's like that would be the equivalent of somebody running like a 3.840 in Indy.
Hold on a second. So there's 225 pounds on the bar, including the bar. And he said he lifted it 74 times? Is that what he said?
74 times. He said he would have his Friday morning workouts with the Niners. He would get up. He would start out by running 3 miles, and then him. And so after I do all this reporting to try to confirm that he could throw at 80, 85, I get off the phone. I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to chase the 74 reps of 225. I mean, nobody has ever seen anybody done anywhere near that. Schwarzenegger in his book, I guess, claimed he did 225 60 times in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
So I call Will Tukuafu, who was played for the Niners for a while and was his lifting partner, and he swears it's true.
So
crazy it is.
I guess nobody putting up 74 reps in this year's draft, although Tristan Wirfs is one of our favorites that we spoke to. I mean, talk about freaky athlete. He told a story about
my number one freak this past year.
Right. Correct. Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is a really good offensive line draft, especially offensive tackles. And this guy Iowa cranks out powerhouses, and this guy was this champion wrestler, a super strong dude who did stuff like nobody else had seen before as a at the University of Iowa. I mean, to me, he was. When we did our freaks list going into last summer, he was clearly the number one guy. But just you're talking about the explosive power. I mean, the guy is 320 pounds, vertical jump at 35 plus inches, or more than that.
He was telling us the story that the in high school that the girls' tennis team was they had their tennis court on the other side of a fence where he was practicing his, what was it, the discus or the shot? Yeah. It was the discus, and he would throw it so far that it would land in the tennis court, and he had to change his workouts to make sure that the girls weren't on the tennis court doing their practices when he was throwing the discus. I mean, that's because he's in a small town. He might have thrown it really from one end of this town to the other. And so the question is where does he go and who goes first? And so you'd name Wirfs that guy. And then there's Chase Young. I've never seen anybody this year. I know Michigan changed their entire offensive game plan to erase him, essentially, and, they got erased anyway. Penn State would let him loose, just wouldn't even block him, thinking that they'd use his speed against him, and he was too damn fast anyway. That kid's something else, man. That kid is something else.
Just on him, and this isn't even a freakish thing, we did their game as a Friday night game at Northwestern. We knew they were going to crush Northwestern, but to see him, and obviously they've had great D linemen, the Bosa's come out of there in the last few years, but the thing that was different about him than those guys was the team fed off his energy from the moment they got on the field in warm-ups to the time when they're up 40 on Northwestern on the sideline. He's pretty much out of the game. Like, he was that. You could see how they fed off his energy. And I'm fascinated to see what he's going to do, because right when he got the 2-game suspension, I really thought he had a chance. I'm not saying he was going to overtake Burrow, because Burrow kept on playing better, but he was the most dominant defensive player we'd seen in college football, maybe going back to Sue. I mean, because Sue was just wrecked people at Nebraska that year. But what Chase Young did was just remarkable, and obviously they had a lot of talent around him. So some of the things you're talking about, it's pick your poison, and that's a lot of poison you're going to be gobbing down. So, I mean, I think he'll go to Pro Bowls for as long as he's in the NFL.
Bruce, thanks for the call, man. Everybody should check out Bruce's work on The Athletic, and then we'll chat maybe next week when we've got a draft to talk about.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm glad we got it.
Right back at you, man. Thanks for the call. That's Bruce Feldman here on the Rich Eisen Show. Check him out. I follow him on Twitter. You should check him out as well. Good chat right there, man. Good chat right there.
Imagine doing 70 reps of
I know, I can't. Well, and by the way, it's 225 pounds. It's not 2 plates of 25.
See, I would think that would be 225s.
Yeah, it's not 2 plates of 25.
I could do that.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
I'm taking Tua. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If the medical recheck has come out clean, and we'll talk about this with Mel Kiper top of the next hour when he joins us as our first guest on our NBCSN show.
But you're not taking him if you're the Bengals, right?
No, I'm still taking Burrow. You're hearing Burrow is a special. And I remember I apologize to whoever in the mock drafts during the middle of the season prior, and this was prior to Tua getting hurt.
It was.
Some CBS guy saying it's Burrow over Tua, and I'm like, no chance, no way. Out of your mind. I thought, though, Miami was going to be number 1 overall at the time, and it looked like that. Because it was right around when Miami had just beaten the Jets, I think, for their first win of the season. And it was right around the time that Tua and Burrow were getting set for that big matchup between the two of them. And sure enough, kudos to Joe Burrow, man. What a season. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying, though, if I'm the Dolphins at 5, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so
wondering
too.
if all this smokescreen about Tua's abilities and how he's dropping is, in fact, Miami trying to avoid having to trade up for him.
Right. We might take Herbert.
I know. Well, that was about a month ago. Right. That was right around the combine when we heard that.
Yeah.
I'm taking Tua. I've
with
heard.
you.
I so trust Trent Dilfer's.
I'm not taking him number 1, but I am taking him if I'm in that 3 to 5 range.
That's it. Right.
And if, God forbid, he's there for the Chargers, holy smokes.
Well, that's it, too.
Yeah.
That would be – he's the perfect choice for them to be –
There's no way he lasts past 6, in my opinion.
No. No way.
I don't think so.
That's 1 week from tonight, baby.
Cannot wait. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I've got set up for later. I'll say it on it.
They're coming to the house?
NBCSN.
Nice.
No, that's tomorrow. They're coming to the house tomorrow. God. But I've got I've got something going on.
Nice.
I'll mention at the top of the next
Cultivating.
hour. Oh, yeah. So this is what we're talking about with Mike Del Tufo. 2 plates of 25.
We're going to play this?
This is perfect.
You said that you planked
This is
2.
amazing.
You said one day when Justin Hartley of This Is Us was here, mentioned how he's a workout warrior. He worked out at Glazer's Unbreakable Gym. And you said that you planked 245, and we're like, no way. And you were referring to the fact that you planked 2 plates of 45. We had fun with you saying that's
145. It was
145, right? Like you planked 145. We were like, there's no way you do 145 pounds. No. You meant 1 plate of 45. We told you that's not the way it works. And so Mariucci and Irv were here together. This a couple of Junes ago. Take a look. Mike Del Tufo over there, when Justin Hartley of This Is Us was here on Friday, he planks weights on his back. Okay, there he is, putting plank after plank. Those are 45 pounds. He waves on more weight. See, come on, let's get some more. Right? Del Tufo sees this and he goes, I could do that, is what he said. And he said he would do 145. Now we took that when you he can do 145. How much weight do you think that means? Just off
145.
Right. No.
One plate that weighs 45 pounds.
Get out of here.
How long you say you can do this?
A minute. Come on.
All right, here we go. Mike,
Get off your knees.
Go to the right spot in your
pounds.
mind now.
Go.
The right spot in your mind, buddy. Come on. Look at him. All we see is the finish line. All we see
Coach
is
him up,
victory.
Irv.
That's
Coach
all
him
we
up.
see.
Victory is simple, baby. Right now, don't worry about the body, baby. Our mind's controlling our body. Our
Preach,
body
Michael,
don't
preach.
control our mind. We got this, baby. We got this. We gonna show the world. That's what you're about to show.
What do we got?
Show the world, baby. Don't worry about it. Just
only
don't worry
24
about it.
seconds.
Don't
Flatten
worry
out.
about it.
Flatten
Don't
out,
worry
right?
about it. You got 2 blocks out.
right.
You got 2 blocks gone.
Halfway home.
You got 2 blocks gone. You got
Halfway
2 more go. All just see that finish line. Look at the glory. Look at your chest touching the tape. Get your chest on that tape. Look at you, baby.
20 seconds to go.
You're coming in 20 seconds, baby. You can finish this, man. We can do this. I'm kidding. 10 pounds. Be a man. Be a man. Get up there, buddy. Where you go, baby? Where you go? Think about your lady. Go.
I do that every day, people, at the gym.
I can't tell.
I do it.
I can't tell. Still the best line.
Can't tell.
So that's what Mariucci dishes it out.
Oh,
And sometimes he has to receive it, as he did at the top of this program.
oh, I just want to let everybody know, Irvin, I would, if you were my coach, I would run through a wall. That was, I could have done 2 minutes with Irv with
I
that.
know. We're starting to plank. My 11-year-old Zan is starting to plank, doing some
nice.
planks. Well, we're trying to get
One
him
of
to
the
do
best
some
things for you.
calisthenics. I
Yeah.
know. And so, he's just not into the idea of like.
Well, they suck.
So
They're hard.
I try to get Irv on FaceTime to get him to do that. But Irv has been unavailable the 2 times I tried, so I got Mooch. Mooch did it
Hey,
once.
Mooch is just as good.
Mooch. So
Mooch is a legend.
I mean,
let's take this phone call here. Super Mario in Lincoln, Nebraska. How about that? What's up, Super Mario?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for taking my call, man. First, I just want to say a wholehearted thank you to you and your crew for giving every single day some sense of normalcy, man.
wow.
Your fans really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you saying that, man. Like I said, we check in with each other. We're like, how's everybody feeling? We're here. Yep. We do the social distancing. I guess Del Tufo and Chris are the ones that are closest together.
Yeah, we're about 8 feet.
But you're about 8 feet apart. If we're able to do it here, and we're feeling well, thank God, we'll do it. That's it.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. I got a buddy in L.A., and he's told me that's a very weird world right now, so we do appreciate you.
It sure is.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, the second part, man, I wanted to bring this up. So in this new normal, it's so weird. People are learning how to live in the moment. They're trying to plan for a certain, uncertain future and all of this craziness in the world. There's one topic that is burning a hole in my brain.
Okay.
And I think you need to bring it up with your guest today, Mr. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Okay.
How in the world, in a zombie apocalypse, is he able to maintain that fantastic hair fade that he's got going on, man?
So you're not
cut their own hair.
Right. So you're not asking how's he keeping his hair cut in our actual pandemic. You're talking about his make believe zombie apocalypse. How does Negan keep the flow? Is what you're saying.
Exactly. And I think what he probably needs to do is maybe have the writers write it in for an episode, right? Or maybe he needs to do a DIY at home. This is how Negan cuts his hair during a zombie apocalypse.
That's funny.
I think he probably threatens somebody with Lucille to give him the cut that he wants. I don't think he pays. Let's put it that way. I don't think Negan's putting down hard-earned dollars on that front.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for taking my call.
You got it, man.
You
got it. By the way, he's calling in to talk about Friday Night In with the Morgans on AMC. And he's launching a Friday Night In with the Morgans show. He and his wife, Hillary Burton Morgan, are doing a program. It premieres tomorrow, Friday, April 17th on 10 Eastern, 9 Central on AMC. By the way, have you seen the latest Better Call Saul?
I did watch.
The last 2 episodes have been so special. It's as close to Breaking Bad as it's ever been. And my gosh.
It's so good.
It has been
I'm
so
sad there's only one
tremendous.
episode left.
And then there's just one season after that.
Yeah.
And obviously we don't know when that'll be recorded because of what's going on in the world. So I will be soaking in that. And when I pop on the Better Call Saul, because we're not watching it live.
No, I'm not either.
There's no way we're watching it live, with what's going on. Certainly in my household, and certainly in yours.
Definitely
with
not.
the little baby. And I pop it on, and I see it's an hour and 25 minutes long.
That is the best.
And I'm like, I love it. They're just screw it. It takes as long as it takes.
As long as it takes. That last scene.
This
in the
last
apartment.
one, I know. I'm not going to spoil it at all, but the
I
last
haven't
scene
watched
is
it.
very, very intense.
Yes.
And at the most intense part, my 6-year-old daughter from her room down the hall starts screaming out.
Oh.
She was having, something going on in her sleep and was just talking, but screaming about it.
Oh.
So Susie and I were just like in this intense moment. You know what's happening.
I do.
Okay. And for anybody out there who watched Better Call Saul, you know what the last scene was this past week. And it's intense. And it's just like, what's going to happen? Then all of a sudden, I heard my own daughter screaming out.
Oh, my gosh.
We both jumped. Susie and I both jumped. He paused it.
Yeah.
Susie goes down the hall and,
The acting has been so tremendous.
Amazing.
Like Rhea Sehorn, she plays Kim Wexler. If she doesn't win the Emmy this year,
she's been really special.
And the guy who plays Lalo is
amazing.
So amazing.
It's really been a very special
it's been great.
season, and the last two have been great too. Our buddy Rex Lynn as well. Mesa Verde. Oh my God. Just great stuff. So everybody on YouTube, stay there. If you want to flip to and BCSN, please do so. Our first guest is going to be Mel Kiper, then Jay Glazer, then Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And then you can call in at 844-204-RICH. Get in while the getting's good. And we'll put you on millions and billions of cable households along with our YouTube feed, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. So we're taking a little bit of a break right here to get our ducks in a row, and we'll see you at the top of the hour.
what time it is. This is the Rich Eisen Show.
And here we go.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
Are you ready, Chris Brockman?
Let's do it.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
It's that time of the year.
Today's guests, ESPN NFL Draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr., Fox NFL insider Jay Glazer, plus from AMC's Friday Night with the Morgans, actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. We are live on NBCSN for the next couple of hours. Mel Kiper Jr. will be joining us from the worldwide leader in sports. First up, about 20 minutes from now, and then Jay Glazer, our good buddy from Fox Sports, will be joining us. He had a scoop last night, or scoopage, to use his word, mentioning that the COVID-19 virus has hit the first active member of the National Football League, the center of the Rams. We'll get to that in a second. Apparently, Jay will give a little bit more information later on in this show. Jeffrey Dean Morgan from The Walking Dead on AMC, he and his wife Hillary are going to be launching a new chat show, it appears, on AMC starting Friday night. He's a diehard Seahawks fan, so he'll be joining us. And then you should join us too. 844-204-RICH, number to dial here to have a conversation, a two-way chat on this simulcast that you can catch every single day right now from 1 to 3 Eastern on the NBC. SN. That's where you can watch it. From 1 to 3 Eastern time. Mike Del Tufo, good job hitting that button right there, my audio executive. Chris Brockman, you are wearing the T-shirt of Jay Glazer's famed Merging Vets and Players organization. Jay realized a while ago, along with Nate Boyer, who served many tours of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was a long snapper for the University of Texas and Seattle. Brought him into camp a few years ago. They noticed a while ago that veterans coming back from tours of duty or theaters of war having difficulty finding their way back into society, where they place themselves physically, sometimes mentally, where they feel comfortable, is a struggle. And he noticed, Jay, as did Nate, that some veterans of sports leaving their sport that they've only known maybe through high school and college, and if they're lucky professionally, they were having similar trouble trying to work their way back into society. So thus, Merging Vets and Players was born. And Glaze, who many of us know as the football information guru of our friends at Fox Sports. And there he is putting his arm around Nate, these two, the left of Glaze in the photograph. Well, the right of Glaze in the photograph, but he's photo left. At any rate, the two of them are having a special Zoom conversation tonight because Jay usually brings in veterans in the communities where there is a spot for the vets and players to get together. Usually as the veterans physically come together, obviously now they can't do that, and talk about life and work things through themselves. Tonight at 7 Eastern time, there's going to be a special nationwide session of Merging Vets and Players for first responders. And I wanted to bring that to your attention at the top of this show. Jay will bring it to your attention at the top of hour number 2 when he joins us and gives us some more information about a draft that Mel Kiper will be all over, as he was 20 years ago. Today, on the set of ESPN's coverage of the draft, sitting next to the gentleman whose show we are following on NBCSN, Mike Tirico, announcing the drafting of one Thomas Edward Brady, 199th overall, a perfect birthday gift for one Bill Belichick. Happy birthday to Bill Belichick. And here's our buddy Adam Schefter tweeting out, Belichick was a 48-year-old man, apparently, when the 199th overall pick of the 2000 NFL Draft was used on Tom Brady. And the rest, as we shall say, is history.
I think that worked out for everyone.
Do you think one day, 20 years from now, there will be a documentary on the last dance of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick that will be of interest to many and will be a necessary reminder for a large section of people who are, like, say, the age of your newborn right now at home. Although Cage Brockman will be well-versed in the
He will know what's
in
up.
the world of Tom Brady.
He'll know it.
But that there will be a necessary reminder through this documentary about the greatness of somebody who won a championship 6 times. In the same way that there's enough people out there in the NBA fandom landscape who need to be reminded of Jordan's amazing greatness.
Like, say, one of the greatest, sports debates right now is LeBron versus MJ as who's the greatest of all time. You think someday there's going to be a similar debate of, say, Brady versus Mahomes as the greatest player of all time, and a certain generation who thinks it's Mahomes because they never really watched Tom Brady play?
Yeah. Or somebody that that isn't in
or
the NFL
Joe
yet.
Burrow, maybe.
Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, or Trevor Lawrence, or
Right.
you can go down the line.
Could be anybody.
Right.
I think it's possible. Man, I would love to see a documentary about the last couple of years in New England, especially because they were making and winning Super Bowls during this time that was supposedly so difficult for Brady that he knew he was leaving before the 2019 season.
The reason why I don't think we'll see that is because at some point there will be a coming together of Brady and the Patriots, and in the same manner, because the divorce, if you will, between New England and Brady hasn't even come remotely close to the animus that we saw between Favre and the Packers.
No, definitely not.
And Favre and the Packers right now, as you know, they're like this.
Right.
So
Brady's going to get his number retired.
So
There's a statue.
There really won't be any desire about rehashing all this.
No.
In the same way that perhaps, there's still some sort of, conversation piece that I think Jordan and the rest of those Bulls were willing to have. I can't wait for this documentary to come out on Sunday. The reason why we're also bringing it up right now is I'd like to kind of tie Brady's drafting together with Jordan's departure from Chicago and this documentary that everybody's talking about. Also, Michael Jordan appeared on Good Morning America today to help have a conversation about all of that. Mike, you want to play that?
Well, it was a trying year. We all were trying to enjoy that year, knowing that it was coming to an end. I was hoping that, the beginning of the season, it basically started when Jerry Krause told Phil that, he can go 82-0 and he would never get the chance to come back. And, knowing that I married myself to him, obviously, and if he wasn't going to be a coach, then, obviously I wasn't going to play. So Phil started off the year by saying this is the last dance, and we played it that way. So mentally it just it tugged at you throughout the course of the year, but that this had to come to an end. But it also centered our focus to making sure we end it right.
Can't wait for this. And in the same way, when Jordan was drafted 3rd overall in his draft, nobody saw coming what he provided to Chicago. In the same way that when Brady was drafted 199th overall, nobody saw what was coming and what he provided to New England. Nobody. And, we can have our conversation about who passed on Jordan. That's only 2, right? But when it comes to Brady, there's 198 opportunities. And we had our fun at the top of our show that starts every day at noon Eastern time on our youtube.com/Rich Eisen show feed. You'll check that out later on, because we just decided to call up Steve Mariucci, my buddy from NFL Network, and have fun at his expense, and we wished him a happy Giovanni Carmazzi Day, because he's one of the Brady 6 that got drafted in front of Tom Brady, one of the 6 quarterbacks drafted in front of Tom Brady in the 2000 draft. Oh, and if you missed it, this is what it was. We noticed today, and I love you, Steve, and I know you can handle this sort of stuff that we're calling you live on our YouTube stream feed.
Mooch, brace yourself, buddy.
We noticed it was the 20th anniversary of Tom Brady being drafted today, and we wanted to wish you a happy Giovanni Carmazzi Day, Steve.
I hate your guts.
Fantastic.
By that you mean you love me, right, Steve? By that you mean you love me, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as Jeff Ross says, you only roast the ones you love.
Thank you.
I mean,
later on, he proceeded to tell us the reason why they drafted the fleet of foot, Gio Carmazzi out of Hofstra, is because it appeared to be a more system fit for what they were doing with Steve Young than what Brady could provide. And again, that's the sort of stuff that we have our fun with on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. You could stream us live every single day, an hour earlier before we come on NBC.
Giovanni Carmazzi
SN.
never started a game, right?
You got the internet in front of you. I don't think you did. 844-204-RICH, number to dial to call us. You can tweet with us at Rich Eisen Show and Facebook us. You can also check out our Instagram feed. TJ Jefferson, Rich Eisen Show, social media grandmaster is all over that. I do want to read this quote out, too, because this is what Michael Jordan told The Athletic. And in the same way that I'm comparing Brady to Jordan, flat out. Of course I am. I mean, you want to talk about in terms of the last, 25, 30 years, self-made guys. And I know Jordan was a North Carolina Tar Heel in the Dean Smith era, which you can't just stroll in there, right?
He was National Player of the Year.
I know that. But he kind of worked his way into that. I truly believe that. He worked his way into becoming National Player of the Year and then worked his way into becoming one of the all-time greats. Nobody saw Michael Jordan getting drafted and then dropping 63 on the Celtics in Boston Garden in the ensuing playoffs, correct, Christopher?
Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody saw that one coming, and nobody saw it coming, in his first few years with Doug Collins as the coach. We're wondering who's going to be. They were
his ankle,
wasting everything that was going on. Anyway, that was the narrative.
He had a huge injury early in his career.
And Brady's ascension obviously is totally different. I understand. But I'm just talking about in terms of the fire that breathes within and that burns within and the chip that's on the shoulder that is constantly either there or being created to be there so you can become the greatest you possibly can be. The only ones that leap to mind off the top of my head, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, you've got Brady, Tiger, Jordan, Kobe. You could put Serena in that mix, right? And I don't know. I'm kind of fresh out after that. And this documentary, what Jordan himself is already admitting, he told The Athletic the following, and I think this is going to be jarring for a lot of the people that I'm mentioning that needs the tutorial on Jordan and why he's the greatest ever, even if you think LeBron is the greatest ever or Kobe or what have you. Jordan believes that when everybody's done with this documentary, it will impact the way people view him as a person. When people see this, they're going to say, well, he wasn't really a nice guy. He may have been a tyrant. And then he says to The Athletic, well, that's you because you never won anything. I wanted to win, but I wanted them to win to be a part of that as well. Look, I don't have to do this. I'm only doing it because it is who I am. That's how I played the game. That was my mentality. If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way. Yeah, there are two different ways to, if you will, become a champion. But he even pointed out any leadership has a price. I pulled people along when they didn't want to be pulled. I challenged people that didn't want to be challenged, and I earned that right because my teammates who came after me didn't endure all the things that I endured. Once you joined the team, you lived at a certain standard that I played the game, and I wasn't going to take any less. I don't know how many out of everybody that I just mentioned in terms of everybody else with Tiger. Kobe comes close.
For sure.
I can't wait to see this doc, man.
But that rip your heart out mentality.
Show it to you pumping. You did it to everybody.
I mean,
Malone, Ewing, name it. 844-204-RICH, number to dial here on the 20-year anniversary of Bill Belichick turning 48 by drafting Tom Brady 199th overall. As for this year's draft, it's 1 week from tonight. There is some news to impart to you on that front. on how you will be able to take it in starting 1 week from tonight, and I'm looking forward to bringing that to you. Jay Glazer will also join us, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and you at 844-204-RICH. When we come back, it will be our friend Mel Kiper Jr. from ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And again, interestingly enough, with him, I need to know the one conversation that we're going to finally get an answer to a week from tonight is Tua Tagovailoa. I'm all the stuff about him that I cannot fathom is suddenly out there that I have no idea where it's coming from. I can't wait to chat with Mel about all that. In the meantime, with Geico, it makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy right now. You can bundle your policies with Geico easily. And it's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. And if you own or rent your home, go to geico.com, get a quote, see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. Mel Kiper Jr. when we come back here. No kidding. Brian Dennehy passed away, huh?
Yeah, 81, TMZ just said.
FX, one of my favorite movies.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just going to throw out here, too.
Out a million.
Tommy Boy.
Season on the Brink, he played Bob Knight. That was the first
ESPN
movie.
Yeah. Rambo.
Well, sure. Oh, may he rest in peace. 81 years old. It wasn't COVID-19, was it? Learning about it?
Let me check.
I sure hope not.
I'm not sure.
Sitting there in the Northeast, someone who's 81 years of age. Cause of death is natural, according to TMZ, and they usually know this stuff, as you know.
Yeah, he's in Connecticut.
Huh. I just remember, man.
Kojak, MASH.
It was so big for all of us at ESPN that they were going into the movie-making business.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was brief, as we all know. I think
there were a couple.
The original content, well, I mean, Playmakers kind of put the finale on all that. When the NFL was like, what are we doing here?
Playmakers was great, though.
Do you want Monday Night Football or you don't want Monday Night Football?
Yeah.
Kind of the conversation. But I do remember sitting there and we're like, Brian Dennehy's playing Bob Knight, huh? Throwing the chair,
doing the thing, yeah. The sweater.
Now here comes that Jordan documentary. That's going to be so amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
By the way,
it's also something to look forward to every Sunday night.
Right now on NBA TV is one of the finals games from '82 Sixers Lakers. Earlier when we were on it and on our from the Fabulous Forum. Right now, that is now owned by the Clippers owner.
Ballmer paid what, $400 million cash?
Yeah, he basically paid off Jim Dillon so you can have it.
It's also the anniversary of Jordan's final game today.
Yeah. It really? Is it really?
Yeah, that's what's on SportsCenter right now.
What year was that? 2003?
2003. They played the Sixers.
Huh.
Wow, Ty Lue was his teammate on the Wizards that year.
Right.
Wow.
So they showed when we were talking to Bruce Feldman, the San Diego Clippers hosting the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh man.
Ralph Sampson of the San Diego Clippers against Magic Johnson, Spencer Haywood, and the rest of the. That might have been the Paul Westhead Lakers. That might have predated Riles.
Before Magic got him fired.
Huh?
I mean, you laugh. That's what happened.
I mean, Kareem's taking a seat right now. I'm loving this stuff. I'm loving it. All right, we're back with Mel Kiper Jr. on NBCSN in a second. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial here on the Rich Eisen Show. You can tweet with us at Rich Eisen Show as well. Our poll question of the day is what, Christopher Brockman? What do you have over there before we get to Mel Kiper Jr.?
As we mentioned, it's Bill Belichick's 68th birthday today. So wondering which coach would you want your child to be coached by if given the opportunity? Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, Coach K, Greg Popovich.
Okay,
at
very
Rich
good.
Eisen Show on Twitter. Vote right now.
All right. He has been involved with ESPN's coverage for a very long time for the draft, and he will be front and center 1 week from tonight. As it was, that video that came out today was quite something, with him sitting on the set and Tom Brady getting drafted and Tirico being the one to do it. I cannot believe it's been 20 years. As he's getting ready for yet another draft on the set for ESPN. He is Mel Kiper Jr. How are you, Mel?
Rich, it's great to talk to you, pal. It has been amazingly 20 years since Brady was out. I remember when the pick was made.
I mean, and seeing the video today, what how did that hit in the Wayback Machine hit you right there, Mel?
Telling you, Rich, years go by pretty quick, don't they? I mean, I just remember thinking after it was all over and Brady was developing into one of the best of all time that they didn't even take him with their first pick in the 6th round. They took Antoine Harris, a defensive back out of Virginia. And then I remember Spurgeon Wynn went out of Southwest Texas State to the Cleveland Browns. And then here's Brady, a compensatory pick at the end of the 6th round, the 199th pick overall. You're going to New England. And if you go back, Rich, New England got nothing out of that draft really except for Brady.
Exactly. I mean, but that's enough.
Hey, if you're going to have a draft with one guy hitting, you might as well get the best quarterback along.
Exactly. What was your first draft? Now, by the way, 37 years ago. This is your 37th draft that you're involved in. What was the first one like for you, Mel? Which one was that?
It's crazy. Well, I covered the draft in 78, 79, putting out the reports and doing all that. First one with ESPN was the 83 season, 84 draft. And all I remember, Rich, was going up to Bristol. It was just one building, one little building. And Chris Berman and Bob Lee greeted me at the door, took me down to the studio, and it was done. Then with basically the first round, we got into the second round and we signed off. And I just remember doing round one, and Boomer's just saying, "Hey, I'd never done much TV. I was 23 years old." And he said, "Just talk to me. We're sitting at a desk. Just talk to me." And Bob was the host there, and Chris and I were sitting at a desk, and we just did our thing. We weren't on the main set. The main set was in New York with George Grant and Howard Balzer and Paul Zimmerman. So they would come to us and would do our thing, and then would send it back to New York. But it was fun. But all I remember is thinking back to then and now. Second round, we were signing off to go to like a boat race or a tractor pull.
I bet. I just remember I was in college, Mel, watching it at the University of Michigan, watching the draft with you. And I just remember because, all my fraternity brothers who are from the Midwest knew I was one of the few New Yorkers in the mix. And then when the Jets drafted Jeff Loggeman and you went all in against it, they were quoting you directly to my face, Mel, back in the day.
Those were the days. I wanted them to trade down and still get Loggeman. Yeah, it's amazing how back in those days, we weren't doing it. And I remember Freddie Godelli sitting there, Rich, back in whatever year it was. And I remember we'd come down on the second day of the draft and we'd just relax and dress casually, sit there write down the picks. And Freddie was sitting there. I said, "Freddie, why are you hanging out on day 2 so long?" He said, "I'm just scoping this out because next year we're televising every pick." And now you've done that. You've been doing that. But back in those days, never thought based on what was talked about in terms of the draft, and the NFL didn't even want it to be televised. And all of a sudden, you'd go from a few rounds to all the rounds and every pick. And that was when Freddie told me that. I was pretty amazed, but I said, "Boy, this draft has come an awful long way, hasn't it?"
It sure has. And now here we are in 2020, and it is something that I think the entire United States of America, I'll be honest, and I know this is saying a lot. I think we need it, Mel. I think we need it. I think we need it as people to just sit down. I'm getting emotional just even saying this right now. I never thought I'd get emotional over an NFL draft, but I think we do, Mel. I think the whole country needs it right now,
Rich.
man.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people, on the phone mostly because you don't have a lot of contact now except with family. And, you think about, people saying, hey, to get our mind off this and just have something to focus on other than what's going on in the world and in this country. It's just horrible. And to think this is the first, we never thought we'd see it, but we see it and we're living through it. But I think for people to just sit there and watch something that looks normal, looks like things there have continued. We had the combine and then this all happened in March. So at least they got the combine in. And here we are with the draft as scheduled on April 23rd, and we're going to have players picked. And it was a TV event. It was never a fan event. It was always just a TV event, and that's what it'll be here. We'll all be on our in our homes doing it on whatever Glow Point, whatever we're doing it on, and it'll happen. And I think for fans, they want it. I've talked to so many people, even with free agency, Rich. They wanted free agency to continue. It gave them something to focus on there. So I think it does, contribute to I'd say the mental state of a lot of people who need this as a diversion to get away from what's going on.
And especially since I think the initial shock from the scouting community, there may be some as well in the talent evaluation community and the management in the at the team level about not doing the draft in the manner in which they're accustomed to in a draft room with everything at their fingertips and a full medical that's in front of them. That I think that's wearing off, and I think teams are ready now. I'm wondering if you feel the same way on that front.
I do. And I did from the beginning, Rich. I do talking to them. They're ready to go. There's some concern about technology and how it'll work. There's some concern about if you want to make a trade and you don't have your guys in your room to get the eye contact with and the hand gestures to say, hey, up or down, thumbs up, thumbs down. You can figure it out by that. You can't now, but they're ready to go. Most teams are ready to go early. And I think they also, and I said this back then, there's what's going on now to just have a draft, get it done. I mean, our first responders, think about the doctors, the nurses. I have a lot in my own family, nurses and doctors out there putting their lives at risk to help everybody and deal with everybody that's sick and or thinks they are. So there's a lot more important things to deal with than worrying about how you're going to pick a player. And ironically, the best drafts in the history of the NFL were in 1971 and 1974 by the Pittsburgh Steelers when they drafted Hall of Famers, some of which came from small schools. And then you didn't have all this information. You didn't have rechecks and this and that and everything you have now and the over-analysis that you have, Rich. So I think they get back now to maybe drafting a little bit better because they're looking at players as opposed to looking at workouts.
Mel Kiper Jr. getting ready for his 37th NFL draft with ESPN, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into the Tua evaluation. We're 1 week from the actual result. What is his evaluation right now that you're hearing and think might actually play out 1 week from tonight, Mel?
Well, I did the mock the other day, and I had him going 6 to the L.A. Chargers with Justin Herbert, Oregon quarterback, going 5 to Miami. It's just based, Rich, on, as you know, what you hear from the people you talk to. We don't talk to 32 teams. We have a handful of teams you talk to, and everybody's going to have different opinions based on who they talk to and how those teams feel about what they're hearing. And no team is ever going to tell you who they're picking or who they like and who they don't like. That's just not going to happen for the most part. So I think you look at Miami and the Chargers. If he goes to the Chargers at 6, it's no big deal. Now, the big deal would be if he slips a little further than that. Now, some think he could. And I think teams are preparing for the possibility that could happen. We've had it happen before for no really explainable reason. Go back to Aaron Rodgers when he was thinking about 2 weeks before that draft. We thought he'd go number 1. Alex Smith goes number 1 instead of Aaron, and here's Aaron sliding down into the 20s. That has happened before. So, and they think it could maybe happen here. So what you're hearing more so than the injury is how he'll be once he's in the league. Will he be able to hold up, protect his body, take hits, and be an Iron Man at quarterback? People say, well, there's injuries to everybody. Well, not a quarterback, Rich. Quarterback's a position where you can have guys, look at Eli, look at Rivers, look at Ray Brady, go back to Elway, Marino, Kelly. I mean, they played forever. Now, they had an injury here and there, but it wasn't something that you were worried about, durability in terms of playing in year to year. You might have an injury once every 10 years, but not like Tua has had at Alabama. So that's the concern. Hopefully, we'll be able to stay healthy. If he does, he'll have a great career, you would think, based on what we saw at Alabama.
Well, if this is your way of getting your reporting in and also your evaluation and marrying it together to be as accurate as you think it might be from mock to reality, let's just remove the reporting from it. I mean, your straight-up evaluation of Tua versus Herbert would be what, Mel?
I'll have Tua ahead of Herbert, but it's easy for me to do that because I don't have to make that pick because of the medical. Now,
right.
I think what I said today on ESPN was this, Rich. If you're picking 5 or 6, how do you reconcile that? How do you say, okay, I'm okay with risk-reward, knowing the injury question is real, knowing the hip, knowing the other injuries that he's had is real. You say that with this in mind, that at 5 and 6, if he's healthy, you don't get him. You have to trade up, give up draft capital, which in their case of Miami and the Chargers would probably be 2 or 3 starters to maybe move up and get them if everything would have been perfect with Tua. Now it's not perfect, so you get him at 5 or 6 by not even having to move, and then you don't have the risk. Say, hey, what's the? We would have never seen him here had it not been for that. So I think that's the way to talk to your owner about why it's worth the risk at 5 or 6. Now, if he gets into if he doesn't go 5 or 6, then you get into the 4th quarterback. Excuse me, in that case, it would be the 3rd quarterback, which makes it a tough situation because if Burrow goes 1, which we expect that to be a lock to be number 1,
right.
Herbert goes 5, and Tua's sitting there. Where's he dropping to? Teams don't really need quarterbacks in that area. Now, to go to your question about Tua, as a quarterback, the only concern would be he had 4 first-round receivers around him, a first-round right tackle. He had Damian Harris, he had Josh Jacobs, and he had Najee Harris, and he had all these great Irv Smith 2 years ago. It was a first-round pick. So he had a ton of talent around him during his career, but his precise, accurate passing, being a left-handed Drew Brees, which is the way I've always referred to him, is there, and that's why he's got a high grade. But I think it'll be interesting to see 5 or 6, or does he slip a little further, and then what team makes the move to get him?
Mel Kiper Jr. here on the Rich Eisen Show. Your evaluation of Love is what? What's your evaluation of this kid?
He can spin it as well as any quarterback, and he had a great year 2 seasons ago with the 32 touchdown passes, 6 picks. When he had talent around him, this year they took the talent left. I mean, you can't take 5 receivers, top running back, 4 starters on the line away from a kid at Utah State. We said that about Josh Allen at Wyoming his final year. He took his top guys away from him. Darnold had a lot of his top guys taken away from him his final year. So that's why it was tough for him to even come close to duplicating 2018, and he didn't. He had 17 interceptions. He made some terrible throws. He made some awful decisions. Was that him trying to do too much? Maybe, but he can throw the football. I think when you look at where he'll go, some think Todd McShay thinks so. He's going to go very high. I have him at 12 or 19 to the Raiders. They have 2 picks in the first round on a hunch that maybe John will handpick the first-round quarterback for the first time he's ever had that opportunity. And like I say, Rich, if he gets into that area where Tua we said would be, it's kind of never land. And I say that because there's no team that really desperately needs a quarterback. If you just say New England could, well, that's a 23.
And then there's Hurts. I like it. We're going from Love to Hurts. So Love does hurt sometimes. The Pittsburgh Steelers, you have him at 49. Why do you like that landing spot for Hurts? And do you think he would maybe last shorter than just 49, Mel Kiper?
He could, Rich. I mean, he could. There's talk of New England. I can't believe it's 23, but there's talk of that. Maybe if they trade out of the first round, they would look at Jalen Hurts. And, 43 career rushing touchdowns, 5.3 a carry. He gives you that ability to have packages specifically for him. People forget Lamar Jackson was a package quarterback early on. They had packages for him with Joe Flacco starting. So, again, we didn't know what Lamar would develop into as a passer. There's concerns about the ability to see the field for Jalen Hurts as a passer in the NFL as a starting quarterback. But he improved dramatically in terms of his throwing motion, his accuracy overall. His passing skills look better. His whole mechanics look better at Alabama, and they even look better at Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley. He never has thrown interceptions. He's been good with ball security there and taking care of the football. So I would say Pittsburgh looking for the heir apparent to Big Ben in a division where Mike Tomlin has seen Lamar Jackson. He knows he's going to now have to deal with Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield. I think if he's there for the Steelers, I keep hearing that that's a possibility.
Mel Kiper Jr. here, a few minutes left with the ESPN NFL Draft Analyst Deluxe joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's go back to the top. The Giants have a fascinating decision. Gettleman with his prize quarterback right there. You'd think he might want to protect him, and at 4 he's going to have every name on the board he wants. But you think he goes Isaiah Simmons. Why do you like that pick for the Giants, Mel?
Well, I think it's a great defensive player. It's a position where they added Blake Martinez, who's a tackling machine coming over from Green Bay. They need a linebacker and it's not just a linebacker, Rich. He's everything. He can cover tight ends. He can cover receivers. He can get after the quarterback. He's got sideline-to-sideline range. He's got length. When you talk about 6'3.5" with incredibly long arms, which is important. John Gruden always wanted linebackers who have that kind of length and that kind of wingspan, and he has that to break up passes. You think he's not there, he is, and all of a sudden the pass is broken broken up, and it's not a touchdown or a long gain. So Simmons has a lot of value for today's NFL, Rich. I think the offensive tackle is tempting. I know Daniel Jeremiah thinks maybe offensive tackle, with Tristan Wirfs, and they could. I mean, they got to protect us. Daniel Jones has shown he's a franchise quarterback. I think he's shown that as a rookie. The fumbles, I don't think any quarterback in the history of the game has ever been knocked at the end of his career because what prevented him from being great? Well, he fumbled too much. When did you ever hear that, Rich? Never. So, and some of the great quarterbacks did have fumbling issues during their career, but Daniel Jones will clean that up. The offensive line's got to protect him better. So for Dave Gettleman, knowing he has a franchise quarterback that he drafted in Daniel Jones, maybe he would reach a little bit for the tackle, but if he doesn't, then I think then he would take the best defensive player, which would be Isaiah Simmons.
And then you got the Jaguars going Jerry Jeudy at 9, Mel. Do you have Jeudy at the top of your wide receiver draft board too?
I do. Some think it's Henry. I know Jim Nagy thinks it's Henry Ruggs III. You hear some think CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma. Justin Jefferson, LSU, was fast rising up boards after running that 4.43 and having a phenomenal year with Joe Burrow at LSU. So I would say Jeudy, just smooth, consistent, reliable 90% of the time. He's had a couple drops that were uncharacteristic, more just concentration drops. But I compared him to Marvin Harrison. He's a great route runner. I was with Marvin when I picked Marvin to go to the Hula Bowl the year he was coming out of Syracuse. He was over there in Hawaii with me, and I remember the business-like approach when he got in that locker room. He got on that. And we were in Hawaii, Rich, and it's time to have. He didn't want any part of having fun. He wanted to play football. And that Hula Bowl was a little more relaxed than some of the Senior Bowl, but he wanted to just go out and play football and take it seriously. And that's the way he had the look. You could look at his face and say, boy, he's ready to play football. And that's the way I think Jerry Jeudy is. He's not flashy. He just goes out and does his job.
So when it all comes down to it, Mel, and this may have something to do with whether the Dolphins do make a move at the top of the draft, or the Chargers make a move, or somebody might make a move at the top of the draft for the quarterback that they covet. The ultimate question is, there's somebody pretty damn talented scheduled to come out next year. Where would you rank Trevor Lawrence in this year's quarterback draft, Mel Kiper Jr.?
Well, Burrow would be ahead of him because Burrow, obviously, you saw him on the same field and you saw what happened there. I mean, the thing about Burrow is, Rich, people say, well, 2 years ago he was rated as a late-round pick. Well, 2 years ago the offense has changed dramatically from 2 years ago, and Joe Brady came in. The receivers also improved dramatically. Justin Jefferson, increased phenomenal. I mean, it was staggering, the improvement of him in terms of his production and his consistency. Clyde Edwards-Helaire became a major factor at running back. Remember, it was Brissett was the running back 2 years ago. So it was a different situation entirely, and to go and play the way he did without one game where he left that game thinking, boy, is he really that good? There was never a game like that. He was over 71% in every game but the championship game. He was at 63-3 there. After that struggling start, he got it together, and you saw what happened. 5 touchdowns, no picks. He slips, he dips, he does everything in the pocket. He's got great awareness. He plays with a chip. You got to put Burrow 1. I think with Tua's injury, you might look at that and say Lawrence at 2, and then Tua at 3, and Herbert at 4. So I think Lawrence would be just, and if he were in this draft, I think he'd be slightly behind Burrow and certainly ahead of Tua because of the injury.
Oh, yeah, I thought you'd say Trevor Lawrence, no question about it, no stuttering. But Burrow's that special, huh? When it comes down to it?
It is. It's tough. It's impossible, Rich, to overlook his greatness this year. And when you go and look at the competition he faced, and think about this, the pressure he was under to get the Heisman Trophy and then have to go out and all eyes on you, expectations through the roof. This was championship or bust for LSU. Okay? Anything other than a national championship winning that title, winning that final game was a bust. It was all for naught. And to go out and struggle early, and remember, Clemson looked like they had all the answers and everything they were doing. They looked like, boy, LSU could be up against it here. Well, you get into the second quarter, and from that point on, it was lights out. He adjusts, he adapts, he changes. And Brady, it was great to have there as well with him, and they had a lot of talent. But to have no games, 0 games, where he had anything that would make you think that there's a chance he may not be as good as we think he is why Joe Burrow would be number 1, I think, in any draft. And if we look, if he's not as good as he should be, I haven't heard anybody that I respect say, have Burrow pump the brakes. He's not that good. I haven't heard anybody say that. I think the concern was early on, well, it's 1 year. He didn't play that great 2 years ago. But after the way he played this season and played in those pressure-packed games, I think everybody's on board. And I said this, if Joe Burrow is a bust, I think everybody's wrong.
Mm-hmm. And who's your last one for you, Mel Kiper Jr.? Who's your favorite player in this draft? Who's the guy that you covet? Like you absolutely, it could be Burrow, but it could also be somebody that we haven't even mentioned. It's off the radar screen. It's somebody who's lower first round, high second, maybe even a third rounder with a huge ceiling. Who's that guy that you say, oh, man, I just dig this kid. I'd have to have him on my team?
It's a great question, Rich. Rich, because we answer that by, like, we do the who are your favorite players. I do that up on ESPN.com, and Todd and I do that as well, and Daniel does it. We always hear who's the most fun player, most entertaining player.
Yes.
It's more than who your rated players. Forget rated. Mekhi Becton was fun to watch play left tackle at Louisville. He just wanted to just get after people and dominate people. Jeff Okudah was fun to watch, how he just wanted to lock down, and he tackled, and he did everything you want a complete corner to do. I think those were two guys that jump out at me. Obviously, Isaiah Simmons flying all over the field making plays. CeeDee Lamb with the stiff arm after the catch. I mean, I call him CDYAC because these yards after catch are phenomenal. So those are just some of the guys. That Jeremy Chin, a safety at Southern Illinois. I watched him against Western Illinois with 15 tackles. He had 13 career interceptions at Southern Illinois. He's going in the second round. He was an interesting non-1A player to watch. He will be one of the first the old days, I call him 1AA, Rich. The old 1AA days. He's one of those guys that's going to go pretty high. Jeremy Chin out of Southern Illinois.
Okay. Sounds like you're ready for the draft, Mel. I'm not going to lie.
And so are you, Rich, and we're all ready. And that's a week from tonight. A week from today. Can you believe it?
Tonight. What do you think of Caliendo's impersonation of you, Mel? You like it? Yes or no?
Caliendo's a good friend. Tim and I and Lauren went to a show, and we watched both shows. We even stayed for the second show. And if you ever have a chance to do that, Rich, he's incredibly entertaining. And he's got it down. I just want him to get a Todd. I'd like to see him get a Daniel Jeremiah. And get, does he do you yet, Rich?
No, he does not. He has yet to attempt. I think he's still stuck on Stephen A. Smurf, as he calls his stuffed animal he has in the office. I think he's stuck on that. Thanks for the call, Mel. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, Rich. I'll see you on Thursday.
Yep. I'll miss seeing you in person. That's Mel Kiper Jr., ESPN NFL Draft analyst. Has not spoken to a single person that has told him to pump the brakes on Joe Burrow. Not one person. And I kind of understand that. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. If anything, you just hits you right there. Lots to unpack right there. We'll attempt to unpack that. That's all next right here on this edition of the Rich Eisen Show on NBC SN. Okay, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Mel Kiper Jr. When we first started doing the draft, and I'll be honest with you, it's Radio City Music Hall. Oh, you know what? I'll tell this story when we come back because it's been a while.
Great tease.
Yeah, I'll tell the story when we come back. But it was just it's just interesting to hear. That's the first guy, because when we asked DJ the question, "Where's Trevor Lawrence in this draft?" Oh, it's Trevor Lawrence. It's just like, all the stuff that we talked about with Burrow and Tua and this and that. Guess what?
Doesn't matter because they would be
it's
the
Trevor
second
Lawrence.
pick. Right. Someone would be
but
trading
he's like,
up to
look
two.
how he performed against Trevor Lawrence. He beat him. Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you about this, Don. Can we look at Gettleman's War Room? Dude. Look at that.
Was Gettleman who tweeted about his dog sits next to him for 15 hours?
Look at Gettleman's War Room.
I mean, he needs a little
that
more
looks like
than
it's
that.
a couch. That's a couch. I think it's behind a couch. I think they put him in some sort of TV room. What's in front of his laptop? Oh, that's got to be his big book of prospects.
Look at that thing.
I mean,
Let's see Tom Telesco, the Chargers. I guess it's one after another right here. Let's see what we got here, Donnie.
Watch all
Donnie Bowie. Nobody would call it.
Oh,
wow. That's Southern California.
Nice. By the way,
he's working.
He's got 5 laptops.
See, that's how you do it.
Matt Gettleman is,
and a TV screen.
That's how you do it.
And is that 19 Moose? Who's number 19?
Lance Allworth.
The Moose?
Lance Allworth was 19 for the Chargers.
I know that, but on a Moose?
On a Moose.
I mean, who's 19 here on the photograph? Bambi. Is that it? Bambi was a deer.
Yeah.
Right? A doe, not a moose.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And then Andy Reid.
I mean,
by the way, we've got a great collection of look at that. Okay.
Head on.
There's some art at least on the wall behind him.
Head on, Gettleman.
Dude, he's got a mouse connected to the.
I mean,
like he's not even he doesn't even have a pad. Oh my gosh.
He is not using Inscrutable at any point ever in his life.
But at least he's lotioning his hands.
I mean,
see that? There will be no chafe when it comes to the draft of the Giants.
What are we doing?
Somebody. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. You know, just talking to Mel Kiper Jr. in the previous segment, Jay Glazer is going to be joining us top of hour number 2 here on NBCSN to just have a conversation about what's going on in his world and his thoughts here in our final hour of the program. Just talking to Mel Kiper Jr. reminds me of the first time when he was talking about his first NFL draft and how he was on the set with Berman and Bob Lee. And he wasn't even at the draft hall. And then Fred Gaudelli, who everybody in the offices at NBCSN knows very well. He's one of the all-time greats in our business. He's currently the producer for Sunday Night Football on NBC. And Fred was at ESPN all those years, too. That's where I first met him. And he's just like, hey, guess what? I'm just here because we're going to start doing every single round of the draft. And that was new. And we were new on NFL Network at Radio City Music Hall in 2006. That was our first draft. In 2006, that was our first draft physically in the building. 2004 was our first year on the air on NFL Network that spring. We were kind of covering the draft a little bit, not exactly pick by pick for all 19 million hours, but I was in Los Angeles. Mayock was at NFL Films. That was the year that Mayock, if you recall, was all over the draft for us. 2004, that was the year where Eli and Phillip and Big Ben got drafted.
That's right.
And then in 2005, we did pick by pick, mostly from our Los Angeles studio. By mostly, I mean we were on the air, and then we stopped covering live when we went to compensatory picks because we were at the end of the first night of the draft, third round, kind of taping our wrap-up show while we were on the air, piecing it all together, and we were done. And that's when Mike Shanahan, then of the Broncos, decided to draft with the last pick of the third round for the Broncos, compensatory pick, Maurice Clarett, who, if you remember, sued the league to try and get in earlier than the rules allowed. You remember that back in the day?
I do.
So it blew up our rundown completely. It was like the Trading Places moments. We were screaming, turn the machines back on. You know? We were like the Dukes on the floor of the Exchange screaming, turn the machines back on. So we did that. Then 2006, we walk into Radio City Music Hall. And it's our first draft. It was me, Mike Mayock, and Draft Nasty himself, current player in the NFL, who's a diehard draftnik who knew everything about everybody, Corey Chavis. And he had like this, you didn't have a binder. He had like a suitcase of DVDs of all the players that he was covering. It was a suitcase. And we were joking, it was like the Pulp Fiction suitcase. It would open up and it would light up, gold, and we would not know really what was in there. And he would shut it, and he wouldn't let us all see what was in there. And that's how we showed up on our set, and I looked across the way, and there was Berman, and there was Mel Kiper Jr. And we're like, okay.
We're here.
We've made it.
Yep.
Honestly, that's what we thought. We've made it. We've got our hands full. We got a lot going on here. We think we're going to be ready, and we were. But I'll never forget, we looked right across, and there was Mel Kiper Jr., and it literally took me all of live on TV, because I'd never done it live on TV with him in person. Mayock, it took me all of 5 minutes to know we were all good. That we had our own guy, and then obviously it got expanded to the point where we are right now. And there's going to be, some mixture between ESPN and NFL Network that's still being, I guess, discussed. But tomorrow there'll be an announcement about how you can supplement viewing the NFL Draft. I'll drop that little nugget, as well as how we can all help raise money for those who are fighting on the front lines against COVID-19 and those who are suffering from COVID-19 and those who are also suffering not just in the wallet but in their stomachs because they don't have food on the table. Because that is an important part of next week's draft, and it's why I mentioned it, Mel, and I got emotional about it. Sometimes when I'm talking into this microphone, I don't feel it totally coming emotionally, and then I'll always show it on my sleeve because that's just who I am. I don't care. But saying that we need it, we need it. We need to get lost in a moment as to whether our team made the right evaluation or not. Just the normalcy of sitting around and feeling that way about it. We need it. And again, I know a lot of talent evaluators in the NFL and front office executives for whom, as Mel pointed out, their job's on the line to get this thing right. And they don't have their own doctors having, outside of what happened at the Combine, they don't have their own doctors to look somebody in the face and say, don't worry about the medical, go for it. Because that's why the Combine exists. The Combine does not exist so we can all see somebody's broad jump. The Combine exists for two reasons. One, they wanted players there to get physically evaluated. And all 32 teams now, back in the day, obviously, when the Combine started, it wasn't 32 teams, but everybody would get the same evaluation because all the players were in the same spot. And then two, it's the interview process, the face-to-face, the looking at a prospect in the eye and asking them about their history, asking them about their favorite plays, asking them about their work ethic, and getting that face-to-face, which I assume they're getting as close to possible on all these Zoom conversations. That's why it exists, and that's why these evaluators definitely have an issue. You got that Dave Gettleman photograph, Don Bowie? If you don't mind, I'm talking to our EP in his back office right there. Dave Gettleman, the talent evaluator of the New York Giants. He is not, one would call, for those who know him, tech savvy. This is how the general manager of the New York Giants is going to be doing the draft. In front of a laptop, a binder. The laptop's got a mouse connected so that we know that there's no trackpad or whatever you want to call it.
He looks
I don't
like
know if he'll be listening to the draft on his Walkman.
He looks like he should be looking for the red stapler on his desk.
Exactly.
Like Office Space.
Honey, where's the clicker?
Maybe the stapler.
But hey, you can see right there, there'll be no hand chafe going on for the Giants. There'll be no chafe unless he chooses the wrong pick for the Giants fans. He's got that. And it's in front of a couch. He's probably upstairs in the attic or whatever.
At least he has some art in the wall. I mean, thanks, Dave.
But again, that's not what he's used to. Tom Telesco, he got his. This is the general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers. Look at that. He's taken it. It's a 5 laptop, 1 computer screen situation.
I mean,
he's breaking down film. He's got CNN on. He's checking on the news. He's got Lance Allworth's jersey on a moose. It looks like beautifully well appointed downstairs wherever he is. Very beautifully appointed. Got Andy Reid's. Give me Andy Reid's. Let's keep going here. But this is why a lot of evaluators have been like, hold on a minute. Do we really want to do the draft now? This is not what we're used to. But I think that they're now accustomed to it. We as fans can all get what we're hoping for, which is a break from the insanity and a sense of normalcy that we're returning to, even for just a brief bit. And we're also getting a glimpse in Andy Reid's world. But look at this. He's got his makeshift, I guess he's jamming it up against a red door. I don't know what's behind the red door. I don't know what that is. I think it's on a basement. It's under because it's a very high window situation. Clearly, if the mood strikes him and he wants to get some cardio in, he will do that. It's a very well-placed towel. Makes it look like it's a used cardio machine.
This is 10 times better than Gettleman's.
Gettleman's is Spartan. It's sparse. It is sparse.
A laptop.
It's like his wife was like, just go use that.
Just get upstairs.
Get out of here. I don't want to see
Oh,
it.
we got other angles here. There's the Purell. He probably got that from Latte Larry's.
How's Gettleman's table situation?
As you know, Gettleman, formerly of the Panthers, has opened up a football spite store.
As long as his table's not wobbly. I'm worried about Gettleman's wobbly table.
Wobbly tables.
Gettleman.
Can't wait to see Roger Goodell.
Yeah, and then we're gonna find that out too. I am scheduled to speak to the commissioner later today.
Ooh.
Later this afternoon. I'm going to do my best to find out when we're hearing about his basement, because again, when you hear it's from Roger Goodell's basement, it sounds like, it depends on what pop culture area you're from. Either it's the king of comedy, where Rupert Pupkin, Robert De Niro, is screaming about his mom, yelling from upstairs, "Mom, I'm doing something down here," or it's
an '80s MTV show.
No, or it's Will Ferrell,
from Meatloaf.
From Wedding Crashers, screaming about, "Mom, get the meatloaf," right? Was it old school Wedding Crashers?
Wedding Crashers,
right?
Someone just pointed out on Twitter that picture behind Gettleman isn't even New York. It's Charlotte.
Well, I mean, he's moved from there. Maybe it's just a reminder of where he was. I'm telling you, this is a potential spite store that he's got right there. Right? He's got the beans. Does he have the beans?
No.
Who is he? Is he Latte Larry or is he the Mocha Joe of general management?
I mean, he's definitely Mocha Joe. Mocha Joe, spoiler alert.
Mocha Joe had the beans first.
And he got the house at the end.
You got that, yeah.
Jay Glazer's joining us. Our poll question at Rich Eisen Show. Christopher, do you want to hit that real quick that people could vote on right now? Because it's Bill Belichick's 68th birthday today.
So who would you most want your child to be coached by? Belichick, Saban, Coach K, or Greg Popovich?
Right.
Pop leads the way right now, 35%.
I would vote for Pop, too. I'd vote for Pop. I love Greg Popovich, man. I love him. Coach K, however, that they're getting a very good education there, too. You know that.
That's true.
Right? All right, that's our number one here on NBCSN, our final hour of our 3 hours that you could start watching on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show every single day at noon Eastern. We return at 2 Eastern with Jay Glazer of Fox Sports. I don't know if you're aware, but you going to Yale was brought up on Game 2 of the NBA Finals.
No way.
Yes, because...
Was it the part where the Cavs were really losing at the end?
No, it's not that. It's not that. No. It's that Jeff Van Gundy, who was on the broadcast, said he went to school with you.
No way.
In a class. Do you...
Sorry, Jeff. Don't remember you. You weren't that memorable.
Oops. You don't remember Jeff Van Gundy
I'm afraid
in class?
I don't. I'm afraid I don't.
Because the reverse is true.
No. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Your phone wasn't lighting up from friends saying,
no, I wish I'd seen it. I wish I'd seen him. I would have been able to see his face and maybe, but I was...
I think we could. Can we bring up a picture of Jeff Van Gundy? I don't know. So just stroll down memory lane here. The one in the middle is Jeff Van Gundy. Does that ring a bell to you?
That rings no bell whatsoever. I'm so sorry, Jeff.
No class reunions at all between Jodie Foster and Jeff Van Gundy. Okay. We noticed you mentioned on the air that you were classmates with Jodie Foster at Yale.
Yeah, and then you cheap shotted me afterwards.
No, I don't know. I don't know
like,
about cheap.
You brought her on and just feigned total indifference to my existence in the world. It was a setup. I mean... Our freshman year, there was 12 guys on the floor. We all threw in $100 and said, hey, the first guy that gets a date with Jodie Foster, you win the money. I'm coming back from the gym in the early fall, and there's a candy shop right outside the big quad for freshmen. The popcorn is popping. It smells great. And from behind me, someone goes, man, that popcorn smells good. And I turn around, and it's her.
and I totally choke, and I say, yeah, and I run to my dorm, right? I was scared. I was intimidated by it.
Guess what time it is? This is the Rich Eisen Show.
And here we go.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
You ready, Chris Brockman?
Let's do it.
Heard nationwide, televised online at richeisenshow.com.
It's that time of the year.
Earlier on the show, ESPN NFL Draft analyst Mel Kiper Jr. Coming up, Fox NFL insider Jay Glazer. Plus, from AMC's Friday Night with the Morgans, actor Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Welcome to our final hour here of the Rich Eisen Show on a busy Thursday. 1 week from tonight, it will be the NFL Draft going down from all across the landscapes of our great country. Our football landscapes. I will be in my home office. Tomorrow, I'll be able to give everybody a little bit more information, or a lot more information about what I'll be doing from my home office as part of the draft. It's very exciting, is all I will say. And on tomorrow's show, scheduled to appear, is a conversation that I'm going to be having with the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, later today. And we will play it right here on NBCSN, where NBC, the home of Sunday Night Football. And we had Mel Kiper on last hour, and he said that he has not heard a single thing about Joe Burrow that does not give him any indication other than the fact this is the number one overall pick in this draft. And everybody loves him. I mean, Ian Rappaport came on earlier this week, said every single team's got him number one. Kiper's like he hasn't heard a single person that he respects. Did you hear how he said that when he said that last hour, Chris? Hasn't heard from somebody he hasn't. Every single person who I respect. Meaning, there are some people he does not respect that he talks to.
That's fine.
But I'll leave that up to those people he talks to figure out who they all are. You got to figure that. You got to sleuth that one for yourself. Yeah. But he said that he hasn't spoken to a single person who he does not respect. This guy's number one overall. Okay. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's going to be joining us. We best know him as Negan from The Walking Dead. Friday Night In with the Morgans, hosted by Jeffrey Dean Morgan and his wife Hillary Burton Morgan, debuts tomorrow at 10 Eastern, 9 Central on AMC. So we'll chat with the diehard Seahawk fan coming up later this hour. But I turn to the phone line right now, and I find a guy who I'm thrilled to call a great friend. He's a great human on this planet. And he's also pretty damn good at what he does professionally from Fox Sports, Jay Glazer. How are you, Jay?
Well, nobody respects me today.
You got a lot of people who respect you, Jay. Come on now.
Oh, man. Wow. Oh, man.
How's everything in your world? Everybody good? Everybody good?
Everything's fantastic. Oh, so, hey, I'm more than happy to talk about how this whole thing went down with you. No problem.
Okay.
I've never want to turn my back on it. So, look, this... the other night I'm on Fox Sports Radio, right? Look, first of all, I work for Fox. I don't work for Twitter. Okay? So I don't, if I could say something from Fox NFL Sunday, that's my job. Or a show that I'm going to do, I have to, whatever show I'm doing. So on Fox Sports, but here's where the confusion came about. I'm on Fox Sports Radio the other night, and the guys are joking around, and I love the guys I'm on with, like Jason Smith and those guys. I love them. But they're joking around, and I'm trying to tell them what's on the show the next day, and we have a great show on Fox Football Now, Sean McVay and Jonathan Taylor, who is, oh my God, is this dude unreal.
Love that kid. Love that kid. He's going to be a tremendous professional, Jay. He's going to make some team very, very happy with his running ability from Wisconsin. But I think you're referring to Brian Allen.
What he's going to bring to that locker room also. Man, it's
I agree.
Guy that had offers to go to Yale, Harvard, Princeton. He's way smarter than us. I don't even know how to spell Yale. And then I was having one of our MVP Heroes of the Week come on there, John Fulmer, to give every week we're having a different hero on for one of our combat vets to give a little hope through this battle. So the guys are like joking around, and I'm like, no, guys, I have something serious tomorrow. I'm breaking, I have serious national news that I'm breaking. When it is national news, I said I'm breaking this news tomorrow, and they're joking around. I'm serious. This is big. I'm just trying to get them not to laugh because they don't know what it is.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'm serious. I have big news. There's real national news tomorrow. And well, they just took that part and put it out there. Well, I go to sleep, and I wake up yesterday morning, literally 200 texts, all 32 teams, owners, players, ex-players, coaches, wives. What's your big news? What's your big news? And I'm like, what the hell are you people talking about? Right now, mind you, we filmed the show the day before. And I talked to Brian Allen about it, told him what I want to do. So he agreed to do this for me for a show.
Right.
Okay, that's what we talked about, not me tweeting out his news. So, okay, no problem. And then I was going to have Sean McVay on. I already had him scheduled, so that was just ironic and coincidental. So Brian was good with that. So I'm like, cool. So I can't put it out there. Like he and I have agreed, I'm putting it on this show. So anyway, people are calling, like, what's the news? What's the news? And I'm like, oh, dude, nothing like you guys are fixing. I'm telling people. So then I see people putting up like ESPN Milwaukee, a Twitter poll question. What is Jay Glazer's breaking news? So I even tweeted out, no, folks, it's not what you think. It's not a transactional news. It's not a trade or a player signing somewhere. But it just got ignored, right? So, again, I'm thinking, man, maybe we do put this out. But I work for a show, right? And I'm not on SportsCenter. We're at 365, 24 hours a day, right? I work for a certain show, for Fox. That's who I work for.
Right.
And that's what Brian agreed to do this interview for.
Which again,
that's how it happened.
Glaze, it's all good, man. Look, here's
obviously, listen, it was national news.
Right. No, Glaze. Look. I mean, that's just the way that one went, and those things happen. And your heart is always in the right place, Jay. And I don't think that's ever a question. Certainly, people who know you know that. So let me just put that out there.
It was questioned last night.
Well,
you know what? This morning.
Well, let's just get into the more.
From my you know what, but oh well, dude.
Let's get into. Is he okay? I mean, how is he doing? And does he know? Does he know where he got it? How he got it?
He was concerned because he does have asthma, right? So he got concerned. But what happened was he actually lost. First thing that happened is he lost his sense of smell, and the point where he was using smelling salts and couldn't smell them. Now think about that. Those in a fight game,
forget
when
it.
you get knocked out, man, we use smelling salts to get you back up, right? Or you get dinged to clear your head. Nothing, zero. And then doctors said that may not come back for like 8 months. Then he lost his sense of taste, and still, he only feels texture of food. And he said then the flu came in, and it was unlike any other flu he's ever experienced. And he said, look, I was concerned because I have asthma, so I got nervous. But thank God he came through. The crazier part is that he tested for it 3 weeks ago and then went back and retested last week and tested positive again. So they had to wait for him to be symptom-free. And I think today or tomorrow he'll be 7 days symptom-free, I think is what he needed to be. And once he's that, then he's clear. Well, the other part of this, Rich, is that and people probably don't know this, it's part of the story, that team facilities have actually been opened for medical purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a player that's going through rehab and recovery, you can go there and the team doctors and trainers can work with you. Well, when this happened, the Rams immediately had to shut down everything and quarantine that facility. So guys getting rehab, they couldn't get their rehab anymore. And I believe they're now scheduled to reopen on Monday. So they've been shut down for the last couple of weeks as a result of this. So this was unfortunately, I wish that original tweet didn't go out with just my words, and for that I apologize about that tweet being sent out. What I was that I had big news, but it was big. I was trying to get people to understand really the seriousness of it, but then it just took on a life of its own, man. And again, I don't work for Twitter. I work for Fox.
No,
so
I know.
I had to wait for my show to come out.
Jay Glazer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Jay, if you're like me, and I think you are, we're from a similar neck of the woods. If you're pacing around, your phone cuts out a little in and out if you're walking around your room. And I want to make sure that I get.
No, I'm not. People are just calling through. I'm sorry.
That's all good. Okay.
I'm actually
all good. And I want to get to the.
I'll go to a different part of the house.
I want to get to the MVP stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But real quick, the story of the draft 1 week from tonight is going to be what? Like, what's your prediction? What are you hearing about to the point where you think we'll be talking about this come Friday morning of next week, Jay?
Wherever Tua goes, I don't know what the answer to that question is.
What are the questions about him?
Right.
What about the questions about him? Do you think they're real, or do you think this is a smokescreen to make sure somebody doesn't hop up in front of maybe the Dolphins or something like that?
Well, all you need is one team to not to be totally fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're dealing with the hip, look, Patrick Mahomes, when his knee popped out and dislocated, it was a perfect dislocation, perfect in a very, very imperfect situation. And with it, when I mean it's perfect, none of the bones broke, nothing cracked, nothing, not even little fragments came up. There was a little ligament tear, but that was it. And he still had a 10% chance of redoing that. And Tua had to go in for the surgery on his hip. So it wasn't any perfect, dislocation. But listen, he's so talented where teams may say he's worth the risk and gamble, and talent-wise, probably he is for sure. You just got to hope that it doesn't happen again. And I don't really know the answer to that question because every team's doctors will probably look at it differently. But because of this quarantine, teams haven't been able to really come in and poke and prod like they want to do. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. I don't know the answer to that.
Do you think he's out of the top 10 potentially, or no? No,
I don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer because everybody's all over the board. Certain teams are saying, no, well, we're going to put Herbert over because of the hip, and other teams are saying, no, they like Tua. So, no, I don't know the answer to it.
Jay Glazer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into what you're doing at 7 Eastern time.
Rich, I think if we had a different situation where everybody'd be able to bring him in and pull and poke and prod and this and that, then you'd have more of a clear-cut answer on it.
Well, wouldn't you say that's the reason why? Wouldn't you say that's the reason why Cam's unsigned right now? A large reason,
absolutely,
for that. I mean,
that's the big reason, no doubt. They want to be able to see that foot in the shoulder, and because that affects both things that he's good at, without a doubt. That's why Cam is not signed.
Let's talk about what you're doing now at 7 Eastern time tonight, Jay.
Thank you, my friend.
Please, this is why we do, or you do what you do. Okay, you're very special doing this thing. Certainly tonight, Merging Vets and Players, is special nationwide session for first responders. I give you a few minutes here about what this session is and how people can be a part of this tonight. Certainly, if they know a first responder or if they are a first responder out there checking us out right now, Jay.
Well, for those who don't know our foundation, I started 4 years ago. My partner, Nate Boyer, was a Green Beret and ex-Seahawk, called Merging Vets and Players MVP, where we take former combat vets and merge them together with former pro athletes because they both look up to each other, just to give them a team again through the transition, because the transition sucks. It's awful when you don't have your tribe. And we're building these guys a new team again. So every week in 5 cities, we work out together for about a half hour just to give you a burn, but then we have a mental health huddle. And we talk each other up about why yes, the transition's bad, but you should not put a revolver in your mouth. There's 22 vets a day that kill themselves. That is not okay. Not okay. And our job at MVP is to make that number 0. Thank you, my best friend, God Almighty, that our number of MVPers has been 0 since signing up for MVP. When I think over 60% of ours have attempted before they met us. And it's the way we coach each other up and talk to each other. And we've brought people up from homelessness. We brought brought people through a lot of sobriety issues. You guys have seen that we've gotten Aldon Smith hopefully back in the NFL, but signed by the Cowboys. He's worked on the sobriety issues with our vets. And we're really doing a lot of great things. You know, Ryan Leaf is part of us. We've done great things, and what we do best is we're of service to other people. The only thing that gets me through my own depression, anxiety, Rich, is why I start these charities, because I have severe depression, anxiety, is being of service to other people. Otherwise, I'm always in the gray. It's the only thing that gets me to see in the blue. So once this virus happened, we were the first ones to shift and went right into Zoom within 48 hours, because our veterans started saying, you guys are always telling us not to isolate, and now they're making us isolate. And Nate and I were on 24-hour suicide watch with people for those first 48 to 72 hours. Man, it was rough. And thank God Almighty, we haven't lost any of them, because we immediately went to Zoom. Last night we had a session with 90 people on there, people in the NFL like David Andrews from the Patriots and Ben Garland, who's on our advisory board. Hoist Gracie was on there. Chip Kelly's on there. Like, it's great. And then we had a bunch of really badass combat vets. Well, because we're used to being of service, we decided to shift gears here. And today, like you're saying, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, we're holding a special MVP for first responders, for doctors, for nurses, EMT, anybody who is on the front lines battling this coronavirus, who just needs a break. We got your back. We are here for you. And if you go to our website, call to action right now, go to Vets and Players, vetsandplayers.org. Sign up. We'll do the same thing. We'll have about 15 of us on to help you through it. We'll have therapists on for you. Randy Couture, Hall of Famer in MMA. Nate Boyer and myself will be leading it with some therapists, with a bunch of other vets. Kirstie Ennis, who got the Pat Tillman Award this year, who's one of our combat vets at the ESPYs. She's had 45 surgeries after her helicopter went down in Afghanistan. She'll be on with us also. She's certainly one to able to help people through trauma. So we've got your back. We are there for you. We have 300 slots open. So please come and join us. It's a half-hour workout from wherever you are. And it's not a hard workout. It's going to be an easy workout. You could do it in your closet. Doesn't matter. But then we sit around and we talk. If you just got to get some stuff off your chest, please come on, and we are there for you. We want to give you a break, and we will do this weekly until you guys are through it.
Vetsandplayers.org. Jay, you're a special human. Love you, brother. Love you. Well,
thank you, buddy. Love you.
Right
Appreciate
back at you. We'll chat soon, okay? Thanks for coming on.
No.
Thanks for coming on. That's Jay Glazer, Fox Sports. Nobody like him. Nobody like him. Again, vetsandplayers.org. It'll be very special, and if you want to get something off your chest, or you know that there's somebody that needs to get somebody off their chest, that they got a cloud around them. I'm telling you, this is a way to get the cloud out and the cloud gone. Even if even for 5 minutes, it will be helpful. Vetsandplayers.org. Make sure that you can get one of those 300 spots tonight. I imagine they're going to go fast. That's Jay Glazer right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Jeffrey Dean Morgan will be joining us when we come back here on NBCSN. Real brief message from my friends at Geico right now. To make your life a little bit easier, if you own or rent your home, you can bundle policies with Geico right now. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing because obviously we have so much going on in our worlds. You just heard a little bit of what Jay was having to say, but if it's just around your home and you need to figure something out to make your job easier, your life easier, go to geico.com, get a quote, see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. Jeffrey Dean Morgan when we come back. Tell you, man, Glaze is pretty damn special, isn't he?
Yeah.
Man, what he does is so awesome and so important. You heard what he said. More than 20 vets a day commit suicide, and they need something like this, and he's doing a great job with Nate and Ryan Leaf and everyone else who's involved. It's awesome.
What's going on over there? Have you seen anything? Is there anything breaking over there that you've seen that you think
kind of some big basketball news. One of the top prospects who was just trying to decide what to do for college, this guy Jalen Green, has chosen to bypass the NCAA and go to the G League, taking the G League up on its offer for top prospects. He's going to get $500,000, full college scholarship, and is going to face very tough competition in the G League. So that's kind of the off-the-football path buzz today. And then, of course, the death of Brian Dennehy.
Right, yeah, I know. It's confirmed. That's so sad. And we'll hit that on our NBCSN audience with them in a second. It's if this was a normal world and we would actually hear news like the one that you just mentioned, we would be basically saying it's time maybe. Although I think the NBA would prefer that, right? If they'd prefer the kid to go to college, obviously, right?
The NBA? Well,
Or
the
would
NBA owns the G League.
I know
so they
that.
would prefer kids to kind of go this way
to go
now.
the G League as opposed to, well, I mean, they prefer the kids to come to the G League if they're only going to one and done in college.
Right.
But I think they would prefer somebody to go to college and get 3-4 years of an education and then come to the NBA.
If we're not going to let
a more well-rounded grown-ass man, right?
Yes, but if we're not going to let high schoolers go right to the NBA,
right, they just don't want people hopping in for 1 year and then coming out. Or I guess didn't somebody go off to New Zealand? Didn't we have a kid here on
yes,
right, who came in studio here?
Yeah, RJ Hampton.
RJ Hampton came
and
here.
of course
Dion was a guy, he's known him very well, right?
LaMelo Ball did the same thing, and now he's a top 5.
We'd be having a conversation right now about, hey, if the kids were getting paid for their name and likeness and image, would he have been doing that?
Sure. But
you know
get
what I
to
mean?
play, if you're that good, this guy Jalen Green, you're that good,
right?
And you get a chance to play against top flight competition, and you're getting paid. This is an absolute.
And you're also being exposed to the NBA, and
absolute
they already
no-brainer.
have you in the quote-unquote system and all that.
Absolute no-brainer, what he's doing. We also didn't get a chance to get to this yet, but maybe we can talk about it tomorrow. Vegas has released projected NFL win totals.
We have time after Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Projected win totals are out. Some very interesting numbers.
Okay. We got time for that. And also, there's an interesting story about Tampa Bay's tight end roster that's out there.
Oh, I know. I know.
My colleague Ian Rappaport is reporting right now that there's some buzz about the Browns trading back in the first round, trading out of 10 and drafting an offensive tackle anyway.
Okay.
Taking offensive tackle Ezra Cleveland in round 1. Wondering if any player has ever chosen, any team's ever chosen a player with the same last name as the city he'd be playing for. But how about just trading out of 10, not taking one of the top players in the draft, trading back and getting another tackle anyway? Boy, that kid better perform well if that happens.
Ooh, baby.
Ezra's got to be better, if you will. Do you like that phrase? Turn of phrase? For those fans of the band Better Than Ezra?
You're a wordsmith, Rich.
That's all I want. That's all I want to hear sometimes. Is that tough?
No, not at all.
Pleased to have on this show for the first time on the phone. I always enjoy seeing him face to face when he comes here because you just love him. He just comes in all badass, leather boots, smoking heaters out there in our thoroughfare before coming in with his beard and just crushing it.
Did he bring the baseball bat?
He brought a baseball bat. I think he brought Lucille, but he grabbed one of our bats and started wheeling it around like he's Negan as he plays on The Walking Dead. The season 10 finale is going to air later this year, delayed due to COVID-19. And for the moment, though, as he is hanging in, there's now a show, Friday Night In with the Morgans, hosted by Jeffrey Dean Morgan and his wife Hillary Burton Morgan. And that's on AMC starting tomorrow night at 10 Eastern Time. And back here on the show is Jeffrey Dean Morgan. How are you, sir?
Very good, Mr. Eisen. How are you?
Where have I found you? I'm following you on Twitter. I'm seeing you driving around, nearby, I guess, in the woods or something. I drive around in the woods a lot. Well, we've got a farm up here in upstate New York. Right.
I'm actually very lucky to have this farm, especially right now, because my lockdown consists of quite a bit of land, so I can get the kids out myself out. No one's killing each other. It's going okay.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I mean, and everybody's healthy in your world.
Everybody,
right
everybody is healthy
Thank
under
goodness.
my roof. So far, so good. But we have really adhered to the not leaving. The most I'll do is I deliver. My wife has been making masks for local hospitals and caregivers here in the Hudson Valley, and so I will pack up a box of masks that she makes and deliver those to the frontline workers. But even then, it's kind of a dine and dash situation. I'll throw a box out of a moving car going 100 miles an hour down the road.
No, I bet. I hear what you're saying. So, do the masks have any specific design on them? Are they Walking Dead masks?
Yeah, I mean, well, mine has she made one for me that's Seahawk mask. But she's making them out of started with old shopping bags because they're made out of a material that is basically a filter, an N95 filter. So that's what it started as, and then we've gotten more materials, found them online, and so yeah, she's churning those up. The sewing machine has been going 12 hours a day for the last 3 weeks, and I figured out how to make hand sanitizer. So we're doing.
What do you mean?
We're doing what we can here.
How does one make hand sanitizer, Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Surprised. It's not that hard as long as you have like rubbing alcohol is your main ingredient.
Right.
But some glycerin, a little hydrogen peroxide. You can put a little tea tree oil in there if you want to smell like something other than alcohol.
Are you using any of your knowledge of survivalism from Walking Dead involved in all this?
Yeah, well, I wish I could bash the hell out of the virus, but unfortunately, you just can't see the damn thing. I think in this situation, for those familiar with the show, there was a character at one time named Herschel who lived on a farm and had isolated his family on this farm, and that's very much kind of the character I have kind of simulated my life after at this point. So yeah, we're just locked down at the farm, man. It really is this, and now we're going to try this show, and we'll see what happens there.
And Friday night in with the Morgans. And
Friday night in with the Morgans,
very good. Right. So let me just put a pin in that for a second. We'll return to it after. Let's go down a little bit of a Seahawk wormhole, sir. Let's go down that. I mean, if I had told you at the beginning of last season that Marshawn Lynch would return and then be part of a playoff run, your answer would have been what?
There's no way. There's no way. I mean, I knew that we would be in the thick of things for a playoff spot, but to bring Marshawn back, to see old number 24 beast mode come back, I tell you, I bought all that merch. I'm gonna, the second it was announced, I was on the beast mode website buying everything that I could. It was pretty exciting, and you know what? He looked okay. He looked pretty good to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly for a guy that I'm imagining there had to be some sort of a run-up, right? That he knew it was potentially in the offing, but a couple of times.
I mean, that's what the rumor is that they've been talking about this for a little while. They've been talking about it even before everybody went down with injury. Marshawn had been at the Seattle offices and said hi to everybody, and I think talk started then, just for him to kind of back up Carson. And then when everybody got hurt, that was it. Yeah, boy, it was a bummer. And then, that last game of the year against the Niners, to come, a quarter inch from winning the division. Oh boy, Rich, what can I say?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeffrey, the crazy thing, and we've talked about it on this show ad nauseum, might as well just bring it up here. I mean, that quarter inch that was on Sunday Night Football, the finale, game 256 of the regular season, had that been, a quarter inch in the other direction, San Francisco would have been on the road to start the playoffs as the 5 seed. The Saints would have gotten a bye. The Packers would have gotten the 1 seed, and the Seahawks would have gotten a home game the following weekend. I mean, that's what you want to talk about. Normally, baseball's a game of inches. That was a game of quarter inch right there in the NFL.
It really was. I've relived these moments quite a bit in my mind. Mindless things all of a sudden will just pop up. And that's the new one for me, is that moment. That would have changed the whole NFC playoff picture for sure. And Seattle at home, you can't bet against them at home ever. Russell Wilson is something to behold, and how he consistently pulls off these games. I mean, last year, I don't know how many comebacks he had. I should know that. But, fourth quarter comebacks, I want him with the ball in the fourth quarter with the minute on the clock, and I feel like we're going to win every time.
It was a remarkable number of one-possession wins for the Seahawks this year, for sure. Jeffrey Dean Morgan here on the Rich Eisen Show. Who do you want your Seahawks to draft? If they could, they're sitting there 27th overall, got a couple of twos. Yep. Who do you think this team needs? What do you think this team needs?
Well, look, if I'm a Seahawk guy, I guess I am a Seahawk guy, but if I'm in the draft room, I've been saying this for the last, 7 years, we need offensive line. But, I think we also need to shore up the edge. And if we can't figure out what to do with Clowney, and I'm really hoping that we get him back, but I think we need help on the edge, and we've got to protect Russell. Every year it's kind of the same story with us at draft time. And then, as we do every year, we'll turn. I think we've got 7 picks this year right now, and I'm sure that's going to turn into 11 or 12.
Yeah, right.
But this year's a lot different. No one's getting to meet these players. No one's getting to see them work out. So you're really having to just look at film, which I like. I think that's a good way to go about it. But, Seattle's big on character. Pete has his guys that he likes, and it's a very certain kind of a mindset. And so I imagine there's a lot of Skyping going on right now.
Yep.
But I'd like to see offensive line, and I think there's a couple places we could go in the defense. But I think that Pete and Paul will probably end up getting a receiver. They like a receiver. They like cornerbacks. They always seem to kind of come out of nowhere in draft. So really, it's sort of a guessing game with the Seahawks, and we'll see if we end up with that 27th pick. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, they never do. They never do. They always seem to trade that one out. Your Seahawk fans sit around for 2-3 hours. They're like, okay, finally, here we go. We're ready to eat. And then all of a sudden it turns into a second rounder and 2 3s and a 5 and a 6 and whatever. But, hey, it works out. I mean, at your point, with Schneider and with Pete, they know their system. They know the whole always compete mantra and finding the right guys. And DK Metcalf was remarkable last year. I mean, one of the best.
Oh, my God. What a story. I mean, we saw what he did in the combine, but you never know how that's going to translate on Sundays.
Right.
And, wow. It's so fun to see him and Lockett, playing together and kind of figuring out how they're going to play. And he really was a beast and kind of carried us to the wide receiver spot while, Lockett was hurt for the better part of the second half of the year.
Right.
Really stepped up. Fun to watch, and I can't wait to see him go some more. I think this year if it's possible, he's really going to have a breakout year is my prediction.
All right,
if there is a year.
Yeah, and I'm knocking on wood on that, and that's obviously we're all hoping for the best on that front. And in the meantime, you're helping provide people with what we're doing right now, and that's a little bit of a diversion. Tell me about Friday Night In with the Morgans. You and your wife just gonna shoot it for just like an hour and just see what's going on? I mean,
it's not even an hour right now. I mean, that could change. Right now, it's a half hour.
Okay.
And I was actually doing a hospital run. Was in my car, listening to Howard Stern as I do. It's always talk radio in my car when I'm driving.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the technology and trying to put a Zoom show together. And I had just done an episode of The Talking Dead, which is a follow-up of Walking Dead. On Sundays they do. And we had done a Skype version of that show. And I thought it had gone relatively okay, considering it was the first time any of us had done it. And I emailed Sarah Burnett, the head of AMC, and I said, hey, what do you think about us doing a show with this new format and just chatting with some friends? I bring in some actor friends, and then we bring in someone from our community. That this community we're in is a very kind of tight-knit, small community, and everybody's been so helpful kind of during this time of craziness. And so we have brought on, so far we brought in a doctor for our first episode, our family doctor, who answered a lot of questions that we all had about this virus. And next week we're going to bring in our local agriculture guru who has helped me and teach me how to run a farm, essentially. And he's going to talk to us about what's going on in that world, because that's as affected as everything else with this. And everybody's running out and buying chickens and stuff now, thinking they're going to, or gardening, and thinking they're going to, that we're going to be in this pandemic lockdown forever. And so we're going to ask him some questions about that. So it's just a really kind of odd mix of people that are mostly out there doing really good things for the community. And just, tone is so important, as you know.
Sure.
How can you have fun when such horrible crap is going on in the world? And I think finding that the right tone is going to be very important for us, and one that I'm keenly aware of. Because it's a lot, but we're hoping we can bring a smile to some people's faces, and might even get a little bit of knowledge out of that. We'll see. I mean, it's really flying by the seat of our pants, to be honest with you.
And I look forward to seeing some of that, and I imagine you can combine celebrity actor friends and also folks from around the communities. Does that mean Rudd? We're going to see a Paul Rudd appearance?
Yeah, Rudd. Yeah, of course it means Rudd. Right now we are scheduled to do 4 episodes, and of course Rudd responded to my email slower than everyone else. The only time he responds to emails on time is when he's at the Super Bowl winning.
Yes,
I've never heard more from a dude in my life as I did during that game. But him and his wife are coming on. Right now we're doing 4 episodes. If we do more, he's in 5, believe it or not.
Okay.
I imagine we'll probably do more than 4 the way things are going now.
I look forward to seeing it again. It debuts on Friday, April 17th at 10 Eastern Time. Before I let you go, we had a fan call in our first hour on our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Big fan of your show. Wondering how Negan, in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, gets to keep his hair so pristine and perfect. Do you have an answer for this fan? Is there a zombie hairdresser or barber that Negan goes to?
Negan is all about kind of ego. Is sort of my guess on this, but he does seem to have a nice haircut. Week in and week out.
Yep.
And here's how crazy I am: is I decided to see if I could kind of give myself a fade, the Negan fade, using a knife. And so, believe it or not,
wow,
I cut my hair for that show using a knife.
What? What? Are you serious?
Yeah. I had to try it. I had to make sure that and I'm not a method guy. I'm like, look, I'll use a hairdresser, but I knew that I'd get asked about for years. I've been, how come no one's bugging Negan about his gelled up hair with his nice haircut? And when I was in jail, the season I was in jail, I decided to see if I could cut my hair using a really sharp knife, and you can. I cut myself a few times, but it's a possible thing.
I'm glad that you've lived to tell the tale. I'm glad that all worked out, Jeffrey.
To say, the producers weren't exactly thrilled.
I imagine so, but I did not expect an answer like that. I'm glad to have gotten at least the positive result.
There you go. You're the first one that's actually asked that.
You know what? I give credit to Rich Eisen Show viewer. I give all the credit right there.
Well, you got great viewers, Rich.
Thanks, brother.
How real quick before we leave, how are you and the family? How's everybody?
We're great. Susie and I are doing fine. We've got an 11, 9, and 6-year-old at home. They're healthy, thank goodness, and there have been challenges keeping everybody, just sane, but it's all good. We're healthy and thrilled that we are able to do this show. We're doing social distancing on this program by being here, so we're knocking on wood.
Are you still shooting at the studio?
Yes, sir. That's the chair the chair you're normally sitting in is empty, so we can't wait to have you back here.
Chair.
Yeah, man, love to have you back here. Love to have you back
Anytime.
You take care of yourself, Jeffrey, okay?
All right, you too, and say hi to everybody there, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
You got it, right back at you. That's Jeffrey Dean Morgan,
Be good, Jeff.
if you will, the worst half of the new show, Friday Night In with the Morgans, that's debuting tomorrow night at 10 Eastern on AMC. I guess it is empty of humans. It is filled right now with the Run Rich Run belt that is from our combine. You can go to NFL.com/auctions right now. Just a few days left until the NFL draft, and we're going to cut off the fundraising aspect of it. Goes to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It's autographed by me and Dion and also George Kittle and Jerry Rice and Vaughn, the youngster from St. Jude that is healthy, knocking on wood these days. When we come back, 844-204-RICH. Oh, yes. There's a story about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight end roster, potentially.
Yes, it is. Oh.
Hey, good to see you, TJ. What are you stopping by here for? Do we have something going on? Is
where I'm told, Rich.
Is the mic
where I'm
over?
told.
There we go.
There we go.
They were unplugged.
What do we got, Don? Don Bowie's got something cooked up here. He says, have TJ sit down. We got something going on. What do we got going on right here? All right, good to see our Rich Eisen social media Grand Maester happening. Oh, this is the last time Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in studio. We got the photograph up there. There it is.
Oh, he's got the bat.
That's great.
Yeah, I came dressed in
He did
character.
bring
that
Lucille, huh?
No, that was
he
me.
did. TJ did.
So you brought a bat covered with barbed wire that you
Here's
did.
the deal. I couldn't find barbed wire. I went to Home Depot, so that's actually chicken wire.
Okay.
Wrapped around the bat. That was a Halloween costume once.
Did you get him to autograph a copy of a script?
I didn't. He was on his way. He had just gotten his script. I believe he told me in the back. For those that don't know, I do green room interviews with the guests in the back.
Yes,
so
you do.
He had just gotten,
expert at it, actually.
He had just gotten his script that morning, and he brought it to set. I think he was going to fly out after. So that was an episode that he was about to shoot, and he had it.
So cool.
So I tried to sneak a peek at it, but
man, can't wait till we can get people in here
Of course,
again,
of course.
and you know we've had so much fun here for 8+ years, and that's the door that leads to our garage where people arrive, and man,
I'm just happy we're able to do this though.
You know what? Again, like this is as close as another human being gets to me all day. So
yeah,
you're freaking me out. Why don't you?
Yeah, I'm the dip.
I mean, not that don't normally just say to people, I don't want people around me here on the Rich Eisen show. I'm normally a fan of the people, but you know what I'm saying. All right, we're back in a second. Play some music. Another fun show, everybody. Another fun show here on the Rich Eisen Show. We had Mel Kiper on about an hour ago. A couple of items from his mock draft that leaped out at me that seemed perfect fits and would send just every single member of the fan base of these teams, I think, through the roof about how lucky they would be to get such highly skilled players at the position in which they'd be drafting them. The Eagles, where they draft, right? They're in the lower third. If Henry Ruggs III falls to the Eagles there at 21.
21, yeah.
Oh, my God. As we know, the Eagles at the end of the season, their best receiver was the former quarterback of the Houston Cougars, Greg Ward.
That's right.
Who made, by the way, a tremendous catch against the Dallas Cowboys to send the Eagles into the playoffs or seal it. in the final weekend of the season.
I can't believe the Eagles.
And so, I mean, we all know, I mean, it was like the drummer for Spinal Tap, where everybody was just imploding. First it was Deshaun Jackson, and then as we all know, Alshon Jeffrey couldn't last the season. You know, Whiteside Arthega was catching passes. If Henry Ruggs III falls to 20, I mean, it's entirely possible Ruggs could be the first receiver taken in the draft, depending on who likes him more than Judy and CeeDee Lamb. And then the other one, if you wouldn't mind putting that back up there, Don Bowie. If the Kansas City Chiefs, with the offense that they have, add, in many people's minds, the best running back in the draft, if they add DeAndre Swift to the backfield at 32nd overall, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, you could say that's their weakest spot, even though Damian Williams had the numbers to be the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Sure
but
did.
With Mahomes doing what Mahomes does, they were not, you know, he wasn't going to not get it. Certainly it was that throw, you know, to Tyreek Hill that essentially sparked the comeback. Which, by the way, I don't know if you read, just to be a little bit serious for a moment, did you read a story, I think it might have been in the Wall Street Journal, and I know that normally begs the answer no from you.
About the 49ers not winning the Super Bowl?
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
That if the 49ers had won the Super Bowl,
the parade that would have ensued.
That the first announced case of COVID-19 in San Francisco happened just as the Super Bowl was either being played or it was just after it had been played. That had there been a parade in San Francisco, it could have been disastrous.
I did see that. The headline made it seem like...
Oh, I mean, you know...
I know the writers of the stories don't generate the headlines.
The headline was provocative.
Yes, the headline was provocative.
But, you know, that there wasn't nearly, you know, in Kansas City where the parade was, you know, it wasn't as immediate a situation as what was playing out in San Francisco at the time. Yeah. But at any rate, Damian Williams could have easily been the MVP of that Super Bowl.
Totally.
Could you imagine they add DeAndre Swift? Do the rich get richer or what?
I saw a really interesting poll, like, you know, sports talk radio poll. I think it might have been Florio who posted it. Who would win in a game? The Kansas City Chiefs as constructed or an all-star team of the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers?
So you take the best of the rest of the division and who would win?
Yes, if they ended up playing against the Chiefs.
Oh, man. How do you not take the all-stars from the rest of the three other teams?
The other three, yeah, I mean, they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
That's true. Because you would have taken, how about this? Towards the end of the season, if that was the case, would you have chosen Drew Lock over the other quarterbacks?
Over Derek Carr and Phillip Rivers.
The way that Phillip was taking care of the football. Or do you just basically say you gotta ride with Phillip?
I think you have to ride with Phillip.
But the way Drew Lock was playing,
the way he was playing,
season,
that's a tremendous argument for
the way he was playing in the end of the season.
Yeah.
Hey, man, one of the shockers of the year, and I proffer to say, it put a crimp in some people's. What do we say here? Because I am an NFL employee.
Survivor pools.
Yeah, a pool. The pool about the TV show Survivor.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
Right. It's a Jeff, you vote on what Jeff Probst is going to do.
Great episode last night.
Oh, my gosh. By the way, I have not watched an episode of Survivor in over a decade.
I'm now back in because of Sarah. It is phenomenal television.
But Drew Lock going into Houston and destroying the Houston Texans.
Yeah, didn't see that coming.
Was, I think, one of those pool moments. Oof.
Oh, belly flop in the pool there.
Our friend Michael Lombardi, he's got a podcast.
He does.
He reports on his podcast what he's hearing from his sources, former general manager of the Browns and Raiders, and obviously somebody who's involved with the Patriots for many a moon. Bucks are looking to trade O.J. Howard. Now, we had a caller just the other day called into the show. I love talking to callers. That's part of the reason why I do this show. We like talking. I've got a background in stand-up comedy. I love the back and forth with people. I like the reaction. I like immediate reaction. I like if I think I've said something funny, I like to hear people laugh. They don't laugh, I think it's fallen flat. Reason why I bring this all up is I like talking to people. I'm a people person. Caller the other day said, why wouldn't Gronk come out of retirement to play with Brady now? Why wouldn't he come do it now? If Brady goes to Tampa because it's a better football decision to win now, why wouldn't Gronk, who I saw on the Masked Singer sing-along show last night with my 3 children?
Oh, he was back?
Well, I mean, they had a moment towards the end where all the people who got kicked off, from Gronk to Sarah Palin, words I never thought I would say without any hint of irony. Why wouldn't Gronk come back and play for Tom? Well, I mean, the answer to that question as of a couple days ago, and might still be anyway, if this report is just a report and there's no smoke, there's no fire, there's no nothing. Why would O.J. Howard be on the block? Just as Tom comes? In Cameron Brate, we trust?
They could get it.
Or, oh, baby. No, I know the WWE is an essential business in the state of Florida, but I don't know when Gronk's going to be, doing that stuff. Don't know if there's a season, when it's going to be. But I did tell the caller the other day, I will definitely pound this drum just to have some fun at the expense of Christopher Brockman over there, because once the visual of Tom Brady in a Buccaneer uniform begins to wear off, just as it begins to wear off, just when we see him enough and like, okay, that's the way that one went, what would just create all sorts of flashbacks and sweats more than Gronk coming out of retirement and playing with Tom one last time, but for the glory of Tampa Bay, not New England. Oh. We, in the business of talking about things or having things placed in front of us.
I thought we were friends.
With which to make a meal, a verbal meal, a meal of a piece of content. This is what we do. We look up to the heavens and say, thank you. We look up to the football gods and say thank you for this possibility. And when you figure out O.J. Howard might get traded, oh, boy, that would send it into a much better area in which I'm more comfortable just pushing the pedal to that.
I mean, I don't know about this Gronk coming back to play for the Bucs thing, but I'm all for trading for O.J. Howard if you're the New England Patriots.
Well, I mean, because Hoyer needs a target, right? Right? I mean, Hoyer needs all the help he can get.
Right.
Despite knowing the system.
Right. Hoyer's not the starting quarterback.
Hoyer's your starting quarterback.
Hoyer is not going to be the starter whenever the season
Jarrett Stidham
starts. And I doubt it's Jarrett Stidham, to be honest.
Who's it going to be? You want it to be Jalen Hurts so bad.
I want it to be Cam Newton.
That's not going to happen.
I mean, I know that's not happening, but that's what I want.
That would be amazing.
If you want to keep the train moving, you bring in Cam.
The crazy train moving?
I mean, yes. All of the above. I mean, I know we've seen all the reports of the personalities not being effective.
Right.
I totally get it. Cam's an MVP. Cam's still the guy that went 15-1 and took the Panthers to the Super Bowl. I still think he's a good player.
Well, Bill Belichick, as he's blowing out his candles on his 68th birthday cake, I'm wondering what he's thinking on the day in which he is also celebrating the 20th anniversary of being glad that Mariucci chose Giovanni Carmazzi the day before. April 16th.
We really called Mooch and wished him happy.
That was so much fun.
Gio Carmazzi Day.
Our final poll results here on this Thursday edition of the Rich Eisen Show is what over there, Christopher?
Yeah, who would you most want your child coached by? What all-time great coach? Greg Popovich wins the poll today. 36%. Coach K second, 30%. Bill Belichick, 22%. Only 12% for Nick Saban.
And again, we put this on our Twitter handle every single day at Rich Eisen Show, and Chris is the one who posts it. And usually when it involves 4 people or any people, we will tag that person on the photograph that's accompanying, or tag that person on the poll.
Yes.
One of those rare instances, you can't tag any of the people. There's no at Greg Popovich.
No.
There's no at Coach K, which I'm kind of surprised about. There's no at Nick Saban, although I would even settle for at Ite. I would settle for an at AIGHT.
I did tag their respective organizations.
And there's definitely no at Coach Belichick.
I mean, that would be the greatest Twitter ever. Greatest Twitter.
It would be at Snapface.
It would be the greatest.
Right?
If you tweeted at him, his responses.
Speaking of that, Gil Brandt just posted something like wishing Bill a happy birthday.
Like it's just, what do you...
And then followed up and says, can someone please print this out and fax it to Bill? I don't think he has Twitter.
I love it.
What would his Twitter handle be if he didn't at Bill Belichick?
At 8 rings.
Like, what would he?
There you go.
You'd have to update it every year.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
At you're blocked.
Right.
I mean,
I want to thank today's guests, Mel Kiper Jr., Jay Glazer, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Bruce Feldman joined us in our first hour that airs every single day at noon Eastern time, and youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Jay Glazer came on in the beginning of this hour. Again, if you know somebody that is a first responder, if you are a first responder, you want to get something off your chest, you want to talk to people that are ready to listen and hear you out and talk you through whatever might be going on between your temples that you need to get ironed out, vetsandplayers.org tonight at 7 Eastern time. Make sure that you're there. Jay will be there along with Nate Boyer. We will be back here tomorrow on NBC SN at 1 Eastern time. Daniel Jeremiah, my colleague from NFL Network, will be on the program. Jeffrey Wright of Westworld. By the way, diehard Washington Redskin fan. Jeffrey Wright. He will be here in hour number 3. And my conversation that I'm having later today with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. That's how we're rolling on Friday's show. We thank you for taking in this Thursday program. Wherever you are taking it in, we will see you on Friday.